Like tricky hearing his Killswitch Engage, just that kind. I think this is one of the most underrated Killswitch Engage tracks in my opinion. I don't hear many people talk about it or even reference it because obviously the most popular Killswitch Engage tracks tend to be, you know, End of Heartache, My Curse. I'm pretty sure there's like a third one, I mean, and that. I can't remember what the third one is, maybe Holy Diver because that's a cover. But this track is just really underrated, that's it. But it's just a really great metalcore track. It does everything quite basically, but the chorus is interesting because it includes a clean in it. I don't know many songs that do that exactly, where instead of like a completely sort of metalcore bit, it's like got this nice clean part. Instead doing not arpeggios, but sort of whatever the guitar does. Guitarist, by the way. But it's just fascinating. I love this track. But it gets even better with the pre-bridge part where it has this just so, I don't know, euphoric sort of vibe almost. It's like ascending, rather it's ascending vibe rather than euphoric, and it's just so good. It's one of the best parts of the song. It has been an inspiration for even my covers as well, just that single part. It's so fucking good. And it even inspired me in my cover that I remember specifically. Somehow I managed to use it, I think, in a cover of Feel Good Inc., obviously by Gorillaz. And that was like the inspiration for the solo, and also other parts of it, I believe. It's just insanely good, and then the bridge as well that comes obviously after this. Just a great metalcore bit. It's just an incredible track. But if you haven't listened to Killswitch Engage, I would recommend listening to pretty much everything. Even though the later albums are a bit kind of not as good, in my opinion, it's just honest opinion here. The old stuff is obviously still great. It aged incredibly well and still does so many things well too. It's been some of the most fun metalcore that I actually have listened to. It's just, oh goodness, I guess. I don't know how to describe it exactly. Yeah, that's the song, so let's move on. Is it recording? I don't know. If not, well, fuck me, I guess. But anyway, I tried the new sleep routine thing and it worked out well for obviously day one. Because that's obviously this is the first time I tried it and it worked well. So I think having the sort of browser change definitely had an impact. So then when I do my daily browsing, it typically takes about 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I try to get everything done reasonably quick without also skimping it. But that seemed to help, and then obviously what I've got left to do before bed I try to do as well, so hobbies or, you know, guys stuff. That sort of worked out. But yeah, wait, did I brush my... Pretty sure I brushed my teeth. Yeah, I did it earlier. Yeah, I remember I did it at like 9, so... Actually, I don't even know. Huh, that's one thing I didn't address in the routine, but oh well. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it did show that something changed. I don't know if it was maybe just I was so tired from the night before that I couldn't get any worse. That could be it. But when I first got to bed at about 11, I was already sort of nodding off, which was kind of a good sign. And I started reading for about 30 minutes before getting too tired, and then eventually I was able to get off to sleep. I was reading a book, obviously, and watching a bit of Twitch as well on the side, as I usually do, multitasking. I managed to almost fall asleep until a fucking plane flew overhead, which didn't sound like a normal plane, it sounded like a jet. So, yeah, that didn't help. UK at war. Actually, I need to check that, don't I? So, UK news. God, it's going to come out with, yep, BBC. Fuck is that? Why is it always MSN? Piss off. I hate MSN articles. They're terrible. Came to defend democratic values at US state visit begins. What? The hell is that about? This is incorrect. Nope. Nope. Someone closing a store chain, making people lose 1,300 jobs. That's terrible. Fucking hell, this is why I don't read the news. It's depressing. Bits about fox hunting, which is good. Definitely need that. Police release body. Warn footage showing reckless car bomb attack in Northern Ireland. Oh god. There we go. It's a corridor person again. It's a religious person again. Shut the fuck up. It's only a select few minorities which ironically you get more of in the normal population. But no news. So that's good, I suppose. A good choice, Guy. Quick. Again, I hate this. So it's same things pretty much. They're still restricting social media for under 16s. Like, what the fuck? They did this before. You're a bunch of idiots. People are going to bypass it. Like kids especially. But yeah, it's so stupid. They're obviously trying to censor things, not just this fake thing that they use as a mask, like protecting kids. But yeah, literally the article underneath: teenage suicide linked to domestic abuse. Yeah. As are others, probably. I don't see anything else. So it's probably a good thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just like transferring. It's always a possible thing. Yeah, I don't see anything either. So, yeah, just to finish off, see what I was talking about. I think the other thing that benefited me when I did get to sleep, and apparently I got exactly 6 hours 30 minutes. It's recorded on my watch, and I woke up at about 6:15, which is 45 minutes earlier. Which is not too bad, but it's a good sign. And then I managed to get up after trying to lay in for the extra 30 minutes. Managed to get up at about 7:15, which is really interesting. And I did sort of feel better. I feel less tired, admittedly. Now I'm up and I feel kind of energetic. I don't really feel a part of me that's just tired. So I think it has made a difference. But yeah, I was trying to figure out how to change this fucking routine to make it better for my sleep, and what I've discovered it, which is good. It's kind of a relief. I don't know what else I could even try. The thing is, my routine's already quite busy enough, and like, given that I'm due to sleep in like 13 hours, and wait, is it? Hang on. 11 hours and 30 minutes, so yeah, I don't even have much time to do things, which really sucks. And yeah, like, it does almost make me wish that, you know, I had a job and I was doing something physical, something I can tire myself out with and get home, unwind, play games, maybe practice guitar. but maybe not do hobbies as much. That's sort of my ideal situation. But yeah, anyway, that's really just an update on. Well, that's like, again, this is like the first time, and I forgot to mention this before, but it's like the first time in at least, well, since childhood rather, I've actually changed my routine. I think ever since I stopped going to school, and it's like 2013, I sort of had a weird sort of sleep schedule. I didn't really go to sleep at any specific time. Just, of like 11 or 12, and I think it was even 10 at some point, and then wake up at, I don't know, about 5 or 6 in the morning, and usually get up. But that's never really changed until now. I only stopped doing a sleep schedule a few years ago. Not sure why I did actually. I can't remember. Obviously, it's different now because sleep is really affecting me. So I think it's good to sort of get this under wraps and get it sorted. But again, it's a relief. Genuinely thought I wasn't going to get a sleep, especially because of fucking noise. Like, it's quite bad. It's just very strange. Yeah, so I don't really have anything else to add, but that's an update on something that's kind of promising. So yeah, let's move on. So while I haven't watched the full video for the Genshin Impact Sneznahya thing, it doesn't restore hope at all. Weirdly enough, I had the opposite reaction of Brian, who was watching react to it. It's kind of like, a lot of these things are not really well explained, and I just got bored in the end. I had to skim through it. But it looks like they're trying to change gameplay features and stuff, but they're not even showing how they're doing it. So it's a bit weird, and Sneznahya itself looks nice, but I'm not playing this game, so it's like I'm only interested in if they're fixing the fucking problems to begin with that had been in the game for a long time. Which, to be clear, is a gacha element. This is the biggest problem of it, and also the end game problem as well, where not only is there nothing to do, but it's also very frustrating to do when you get to the end game. So I think this has to be considered. But yeah, I'm still not that hopeful, as I said. It still brings many problems for me, even in terms of story. Like, I don't even know where they're going with this one, because like I've already sort of addressed all the things from what I saw. It explained something about the siblings, it explained a bit about even Paimon somehow. Even a bit about the Fatui, I believe, or even the what's that place? Cormia, that's it. Yeah, it's just a whole lot of nothing. They had nothing to show in this presentation, and it just really sprung forth as a desperate attempt to gain players back with excitement, but obviously it won't work on me because I've seen this before. Weirdly enough, you compare that to the Final Fantasy XIV Evercold showcase and what they had to show. Like, it is far more impressive with the Evercold showcase because we got to see various changes that were coming to the game, as well as the area itself. We only saw one image of Sneznahya and it looked amazing, but Final Fantasy XIV we saw multiple. So it's really annoying. I just wish that they did a better job of obviously not just making the program here, whatever they're doing actually. It's also just the fact that they could be doing so much better in terms of the game itself overall. It's really disappointing that they went the route of, rather than making it the best game it could be, they went the route of making it the most profitable game, which is also where I obviously take issue. And as far as I know, they still haven't fixed issues that players have requested since the start of the game, like for example not being able to target an enemy. They haven't done anything like that. Pretty sure there's still issues with accessibility. So it's still kind of lazy, and it still really reinforces my want to obviously not play the game anymore and not even touch it. And again, the gacha being the biggest point, the biggest fucking problem here. Where that's quite an easy thing to even score, like a goal on. Like, it's so easy to do that because the expectations are so low with that anything better you can do is even better. So even if you like half the price for, I don't know, half an expansion or what, like it really depends. But again, the expectations are low, so that's gonna happen because that's what it does. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, what do I even say at that point? It's just so stupid. Anyway, I think I better move on though, but obviously this ain't the most informed sort of topic, but even then, just like there's nothing here. I can't really feel myself looking forward to it. As someone who's stopped playing it, so it's not even drawing me back in, which I think is a bad sign, in all honesty. I think a lot of people get lost in the hype a lot, which is a bad thing. Also, I think, I don't know if that's even worth discussion, is it? I don't know, but things are exciting when they're like shiny and new, and you look for something to explore. So I remember that sort of thing with like BlizzCon and just other various places that has appeared, teasing stuff, trailers. But again, it's sort of a double-edged sword because sometimes you get shit, sometimes you get good stuff, but even then the good stuff isn't always what you're getting. So a lot of games these days just make promises and then break them. That's just something that happens, so yeah. And also like Genshin Impact was no exception. I'm pretty sure it broke a lot of promises. Anyway, let's move on. I still can't believe it, but Steam are just constantly getting W's all around. I don't know when this all even started, to be honest. Like, the Steam Deck was obviously a great innovation, because obviously we wanted a handheld, but we also wanted a PC. Handheld PC. Technically they've always existed, well, laptops, but they're not handheld, so you want something like the Switch, and then they made the Steam Deck. It's clever. I mean, it's probably always existed before that, but at a steep price, but now, obviously, they've made the Steam Deck as accessible. And then recently, obviously, we've had much more innovations. Wait, does Valve have some VR? Hang on. Valve VR? No, I'm kind of curious. Valve Index, yeah, they do. Huh. Okay, I need to research that. But anyway, I think that with the recent announcements, which were actually, I think 6 or 8 months ago. I'm not doing the meme, fuck off. But it was that long ago, I think, and they announced not just the Steam machine, but the controller. And what's the other thing? Was it another headset, or was it... I can't remember what the other thing was. I could try and look it up on their YouTube page. They don't upload often, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, like it obviously is going well for them because it's just so interesting. There's a new VR headset, I think. Okay. But they just keep doing W's all over the place, and then obviously after the Steam Deck, the other bit of big news week was some of their first-party games, obviously, but specifically Counter-Strike was allowing you to essentially buy the rare items. I mean, they're a stupid price, but it disrupted the economy, and now it just makes more sense. And even though it's still a bit stupid, the fact they do gambling in these games is still far better than what other games would do. It's just like honest marketing rather than deceiving marketing, which is the nature of gambling. So they've addressed it quite well. I wish I'd do that for TF2. I think it's kind of necessary and overdue at this point. I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying to think. Have they done anything else in between? Look at the videos. Steam Deck OLEDs, yeah, that was another good W, because the OLED is quite popular. Apparently the only one Steam Deck was 2 years ago, that doesn't sound right. It's a bit weird. Well, maybe 4 years ago it says introducing a Steam Deck, so yeah. But again, they're just on this W streak, and this hardware announcement of recent is pretty big as well. Because the Steam Machine provides a solution to the Windows problem, which everyone sorely needs, as well as the gaming problem, which everyone also wants, but it does need to be affordable, so I think, at least now with the time they've taken, there's a possibility that it could obviously release with a decent price. Like, for me, I think I'd just pay up to about, I don't know, £1,000 at most for, say, a machine that's designed for gaming. And yeah, people might think that's kind of steep, but to be honest, if it does other things as well, I don't really mind. And because of this, obviously the RAM prices, you know, you kind of have to be careful. And I know there's going to be other hardware issues, so obviously it's kind of a fair price in the end, so I don't think it's too much of a problem. So I would pay a decent amount of money for a Steam machine if, say, my computer goes now, and the Steam machine releases tomorrow. It's like, oh, okay, I'll get the Steam machine, I think. It's time to transfer over, with the risks and stuff, admittedly, but still might be worth it. You never know, they might just do like or rather someone might make a Windows cross-compatibility thing where obviously you can use Windows applications on there. But yeah, honestly I think that it's kind of interesting that they've announced this, and then obviously the VR headset I'm not as interested in, but I do have some curiosity around it, like, can I use it for porn? Can I use it for porn? Probably. Or even like hentai games. VR hentai games will probably go hard, but anyway. The controller is probably the next big thing, and they've only just released it, I think. Literally yesterday. Steam Controller official overview and quick start guide they released, and it's got some very interesting aspects, and it's just fucking genius. They've designed it really well. I don't know if they announced it in the original announcement, but I'm shocked how well it is going, really. I'm watching a Gamer's Nexus review of it, or overview, and their impressions of it are quite good so far. I'm only about 80 minutes in. Well, 90 minutes actually. But they've only just done the crucial tests, Bluetooth, battery life I think they did, or they're on it actually, I think. They even did like the range as well, and with the park it's like 44 meters you could be away from it. Like, it's fucking insane. It's just so unnecessary, but that's so cool. 44 meters is extremely far. Bluetooth don't even do 10, I don't think. At least before it stops working properly. But what's so promising about the park, I suppose, is it just does so many great things. It's obviously magnetized, so it attaches to a controller. It charges a fucking controller. That's the point of it, and obviously it's got this wireless thing. So it immediately makes it an almost great option for myself personally, because it has a range that's pretty good, and it's well designed. And then you've also got the programmable keys according to the quick start guide, which I'd probably use for something like turbo if they have the option for that. I wouldn't mind a turbo button, because I do find them pretty handy. It depends on the game obviously, but when you're gaming with something with a lot of button mashes, it's better to have that. Did I use it in Final Fantasy XIV? No, I didn't play controller, did I? No. I'm like 90% sure the turbo button would go hard on that with the interaction key. And yeah, also like the touchpad stuff. I think that's kind of cool. It's going to be a great way to use a controller as like a mouse as well. So I've seen it being used, and apparently, I think they're using sticks that do not have stick drift, which is another fucking W. Also, this controller just gets better. It's really crazy. The only thing I'm worried about is, I guess, the grip. I think that's my biggest worry because of the shape of it. It does seem a bit like you can't wrap your thumbs around it, which does seem to worry me. Like, I've got my game circuit. Like looking at the size of that controller, it's like the triggers are quite far away, so you kind of have to grip your pinky and your ring finger onto the handles there, which you can see are visible. And that's like the amount of room you have. But to get your thumb around there, it's like not as easy. And also you use your thumb on there, but I mean like in resting phase, you struggle to get your thumb around it. Yeah. I'm wondering how you can reach the buttons though, that's the other thing. Because of the size of it and the trackpad as well taking up space, like how are you going to get your thumb onto the buttons? Because your buttons are going to be used with the thumb, I believe. Something like that. I don't know how you're going to do that. It's very weird. But I suppose that's the only issue I can see. My skin is peeling again. Nice, I love OCD. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add. But either way, it's good that there's so many W's, and I also need to discuss another thing about this. Because I'm not 100% sure if I agree on this. But obviously, Gabe Newell being the, I believe, founder and obviously the CEO of Valve, I don't know, like, I think it's honestly impressive that he can obviously be the least controversial, probably billionaire out there. I think he's a billionaire, I could be wrong. Or at least millionaire. And, you know, I think the reason why people don't take issues with him is because of just having so many wins. Like, the way Valve is run just seems to be pretty good. I think the last time I checked, people were allowed to work on whatever they wanted at the place, which is why TF2 kind of sucks now. So it does kind of suck, although they could incentivise it, like add a bonus or something to make it better. But honestly, it's just, it seems very well done, very well ran. It's probably the only company over the years, except for obviously the Artifact disaster, which I still remember, by the way. I'm not a Dota person, but I remember that. But it still seems like it's got plenty of wins and plenty of good things going for it, and it's kind of crazy. Like, no other company is doing what Valve is doing, and that's probably why they're winning so much. And I almost forgot about this. Is the whole point I was making this. But yeah, no other company is doing what they're doing, and because these other companies set the expectations so low, like Nintendo and, well, Epic as well, Valve is just doing things well. They don't take shit from anybody. They make their own rules and they just work. Like even labelling things with AI being mandatory. I believe I think they've fleshed it out anyway, the early access shit. They've done quite a few good things for the platform, and even changing the things like on the Steam software itself. Like, I remember making a request to remove the gesture emoji because I was getting harassed by people for bringing up accessibility in a game that I pretty much couldn't play because it was inaccessible. And people are saying that with the gesture emoji, and they fucking removed it. It's like, holy crap, that's pretty insane. But I'm glad that's gone, because now it's just like people will take it more seriously, hopefully. Yeah, it just shows that there's a lot of stupidity there with just community behaviour, and I think they are aware that Steam's community behaviour is very toxic, and that's just as a good reason to obviously keep this change. Don't know if they've had it back, but if they have, it's probably not good news, by the way. But then there's this recent thing, and this one is big, I think. So they added a change to Steam, supposedly, where store pages will now show you the estimated FPS for a game and whether it runs. So what's the short again? It's by Legendary Drops. So developers can't say that it runs fine on their machines. And yeah, that doesn't prove it does run well. So it's like forcing transparency, and I think that's a really good thing overall. It is literally one of the biggest wins you could probably have for the fucking Steam page, because now with any game, doesn't matter, small developer, medium developer, or even just big developer, AAA, they're going to get fucked over by this, because it will show you whether a game runs or not based on your system and whether other players have had it run. So you've got a system here which absolutely rewrites what we understand about games. So say, I don't know, like maybe there's a Saints Row 2, I don't know, probably a worst example. I'm trying to think of something else. Maybe GTA 6, actually. Let's go there, even though I'm not interested, but GTA 6. Okay, they put the Steam page up when they have the PC port, and it shows you obviously like the specs and stuff, but it's probably going to show you if it runs on your system. So say you've got an RTX 3070. Players who report having an RTX 3070 say they cannot run this. It's too slow, it's too laggy. And then you've got people with a similar CPU to mine, so maybe it's 5800X, that's what I have. So these people can't also run it. And then same with RAM. People have 32 gigabytes of RAM and still can't run it. It's like, oh, well, holy shit. What do you know, the game can't run. I'm not going to buy it then. Even though I'm going to buy it anyway, even if it did run well. But I'm just not going to buy it. Like, there's no fucking point, and now I know that. I think it just proves that it's just how things need to be, and if developers are not actually making their games optimal, then it does become a problem. Some things are not optimal, I guess, but you have to try. You know, like all these games that you see nowadays, especially really demanding ones, have not DLSS. I think that's a really cheap cop-out, to be honest. Because back in my days, sorry to sound old, we had to lower the settings to make it run if it was too slow. And even then, every game ran properly, and even now, they still have that issue, we still set it to low. And even then, the way that developers will increase performance is by doing level of detail, and what I essentially discovered in The Witcher 3 when I was doing my screenshot runs is they'll make it so that it's around the player, so everything that's rendered in is just what's near the player rather than obviously far away. So again, it's like clever use of level of detail, and developers really need to implement that to make it runnable. Yeah, also it's unbelievable that Valve just can't stop winning, which is insane. I can only hope they keep going a good customer, or rather pro customer route, or pro player, pro gamer route. Because we currently don't have much of that in like game developer spaces as it is. So people are just completely fucking over games or player bases by that, by the metric of we decided not to put effort into our game and decided to make it not runnable. So yeah, I don't really know what else to add. I'm just happy that it's doing well. And yeah, the Valve Steam controller is obviously on my radar. Actually, that's the only thing. For some reason, I think they've named like their previous controller the same thing. They called it the Steam controller, and this one's also the Steam controller. So it's a bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'll have to do some research into the VR headset, see if it has like sort of alternative. Well, I don't really want a full set. What is the fucking base station? Any room, every movement all the time. The fuck is this? I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I'll move on now. That's the topic. So, as I'm doing my Final Fantasy XIV jobs, I might as well talk about this thing that I keep reading and I forget to address it. It's been a long time since I even addressed it, but about how games feel like jobs and just the strange hypocrisy around that. Because I kind of was on board with the idea that criticising games for being too job-like, as in a chore, which I think is the correct term, not job, it's just chore. I think the focus obviously hasn't been very good on that, as in people just don't think about it, and it's not actually to do with the fact it's a job, it's to do with the fact that it's grindy. And when we're criticising games for being too job-like, it's not because they are like a job, because technically, by virtue of existing, doing something in the game, you are doing a job. To solve a puzzle is a job. To solve, well, a story is a job in itself. And even then, just the basic gameplay components that make up a game is a job. And that's why it doesn't work as an argument. It's just simply too inconsistent and easily irrefutable by virtue of that. So that's where you get this issue. So does a job actually exist in a game? Probably the question we should be fucking asking. Hang on. So weird opening that front door. Yeah. No, that one's just a matter. But as for this, like, what is a job? And the job is basically working to make a fucking profit. So yeah, everything is a job. Just to obviously summarise it. It's all jobs, and I don't think there's really any avoiding that, in all honesty. I think it's frankly a bit stupid to even say that this is even a bad thing when objectively it already happens a ton. So there's a non-argument here. I do find it a bit silly. Yeah, I think again it's just down to what the grind is, and I don't think this is a good argument to say that jobs are inherently bad in games. They very much have their use, their benefit, and can do things. It can even help mental health, for example, so having focuses like this definitely helps certain people with their mental health, which is a objectively good thing. And I don't see why you can say that's a bad thing. It has its place, and ironically I've had people say to me that MMOs are just grindy, and it's like, well, they might be, but it's not in writing. So what the fuck are you on about? It just doesn't make sense. It's just such a bizarre argument to make. I don't think anybody really cares that it's an MMO, let alone, well, this. Like, some people don't care it's a grind, but some do. That's where it becomes an issue. That's why we start to give a shit about it. No other reason, really. But yeah, that's all I can think of with this. Anyway, I think I better move on because I've got so many things to do at the moment. Yeah, I felt like mentioning this because it is kind of important. Yeah, there's no such thing as a job in a game because it's all a job. Really, what we take issue is with how grindy it is, or maybe even how difficult it is. I think they're very valid criticisms to have. I've got to push on the word. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. I just finished a video by Gary's Economics called, what was it called? Artificial Intelligence something in economy, I guess, but I don't know if that's the actual name. It's basically discussing what artificial intelligence would be like if we keep it around and also keep it interesting. But I don't really agree with a lot of his points in the beginning and even in the future, because all of this can be dumbed down to, well, actually, these things kind of suck. Like, new technology isn't always good. I remember when self-checkouts were becoming a thing, and people are always, and still do rather, complain about it because they were replacing jobs. And even with how unreliable they can be, personally experienced it too much when I've used it and ended up going to tills instead. Even then, tills can be unreliable, but they're not as unreliable as self-checkouts. So not all technology ends up being beneficial, like Gary says. Well, he doesn't say that. I mean, he says that technology is beneficial, but in the context of everything else within it, it's completely different. So AI isn't actually good yet. Nobody agrees AI is actually suitable for purposes. It doesn't exist, so we've got our first problem there. The next problem, though, is that we can't even sustain it. So, on top of it being just unhealthy in general, and it being very costly, not just with like land and space, it's also RAM, which also affects the working class people. Because suddenly everything goes up in price because the RAM costs too much to get, and now we suddenly can't do anything. So we lose out on any sort of benefits we could have had from AI because, guess what? There's no RAM to go around. Yeah, that pretty much overrides everything, on top of the fact that it's also being misused and it needs to be heavily regulated. So no, not every technology that comes out is good. We've seen many of this happening, like even subscription services are a new technology, if you like it or not, but it's one that nobody likes and they'd rather not pay for. So of course we just have that problem now, where nobody actually likes the technology we're seeing, we're getting, and it's becoming problematic. And in fact, nobody is satisfied with it, and people are even buying less. For example, like I reckon because of the RAM shortages, we're not getting as much technology. But then there's another thing that was brought up, and this was about the story of his grandparents and great grandparents, actually, I think. Not actually grandparents, but great grandparents who went through the Industrial Revolution and basically fought from nothing to something, because poverty was a big thing during that revolution, and they had to fight that off on top of obviously getting the white rights. What? Right, white. I can't even say it. The correct rights, that's it, that's what I meant to say. And because of that, there's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. You're just fucked if you can win this fight, and fortunately they did win. But again, looking at it compared to today, where we have completely different issues, it's not really similar. I hate to say it, but it does feel a bit kind of like it's nothing. So it is very strange. I don't really understand the argument, to be honest, because it's like, yeah, they fought for this and good for them, they won, but we also can't ignore the fact that what's happening today is a completely different scenario where it's a war on tech and money for the sake of what money. That's what it is, and it sucks. We can't sustain the current world we're seeing and living in. And on top of that, everyone's forgetting this, but I mentioned it years ago. I mentioned it with everything around billionaires being essentially equatable to slavery. That's what they want to happen. So they obviously start to make everyone get into worse living conditions so that they're forced to essentially minimise their numbers, so obviously they become less overwhelming, which is why I say we need to fucking overthrow and revolutionise. But, you know, whether people do that or not, it's your problem. I'm not too all for the fight, but I can only give advice. But that's what it takes to actually win in this scenario, which sort of changes what Gary says in this video. But I do disagree with it because of this. Because the world at the moment is a shit place, and the only way we can solve the problem, I reckon, is by overthrowing and revolutionising. You know, there's no other option for us, and when we get someone suitable in power, not a reform MP, nor a Conservative MP, not even Lib Dems, for example, but someone suitable, legit suitable, most important word there, then we can win. Then we can have our workers' rights, we can have our money that we're rightly entitled to, and then that's it. You know, there isn't really much else. You know, just make sure we get everyone in the right places and the right wages as well, and we're pretty much good to go. But because we're in the world now where billionaires constantly win over us, it means that we're being compromised, and again, without the aforementioned solution, we'll be overrun by them, which becomes an issue. It just confuses me anyway when I see this, because it's like, what the fuck? Like, can we just brain for a second? But they're trying to get us into slavery, is what I'm saying. And I said this years ago when I first heard about the billionaire stuff. I was thinking, why the hell are you making people redundant, especially during a lockdown, especially in such conditions as we are now? And the obvious answer is slavery. There's no other evidence for this other than everything. Everything is evidence for slavery. Dumbing down the population, making us stupider, making us more ill. It's so that we work for nothing, so that they can live a high life, so we have a hierarchy of inequality. And where Gary gets really dumb here, in my opinion, which is surprising for an economist and someone who knows a bit about history and even the Industrial Revolution, just ignores the fact that it's all about slavery. Because this is quite obviously what's happening. But why else do you think they're trying to make inequality a thing? Gee, I don't know. Trying to make us suffer, I guess. Like, yeah, it's causing us suffering, but whether it is the intention is another thing entirely. But also, they just use it for entertainment. Let's not forget, they're probably behind closed doors laughing at the fact that someone just stabbed a kid, or someone just raped a kid. Like, they don't care. That's the level of callousness, hence what I suggested as a solution earlier. They don't care about your facts or feelings, they only care about the money you give them or the labour you give them. It's either one of those two things. So that's the only way you win in their books, but for us, we do need to do more. We need to give a shit to actually succeed and be safe in this world. But as I said, it's all just coming back to slavery. That's all this is. It's nothing more, it's nothing less, I don't think. It's just slavery. And yeah, you're going to have a job trying to justify that, unfortunately, in this world, because it's going to be a hard thing to refute, especially when political leaders are always corrupt. They're going to deny the facts, they're going to fight for our rights in the end, because essentially when our country goes down, what other choice do we have? You know, it's surprising that people can be ignored in that way. Yeah, like slavery is going to be a huge issue. Now, because with slavery, there's not going to be much else to get. So, you know, when we're forced to build cars and computers for them, or even just vaccines, the people who make the vaccines probably won't even get it themselves. You know, there'll be people supervising them who might get it, but are paid to basically take it away from them. It's like literal sweatshop worker shit. That's what it's all coming down to in the end, and that's the only way I see us going, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know why Gary is pushing the narrative that even though we do need to fight, and that's objectively true, I don't know why it's not also being said that they're trying to return us to slavery. And people seem to think they're immune because it's like, oh, well, it's just the black people, it's just the queer people who go into slavery. It's not, and we don't even know who's even going to be accepted for that sort of fate, because they might just execute people who don't fit the labour standards, I guess. So, say that someone like me with anxiety and maybe not as like dexterous as at the time, and they're like agile. I'm definitely not agile, but someone like me is just fucked over by that idea because we don't provide benefit. Meanwhile, a woman who, by the way, they were enslaved to do very unsavoury things for, and they won't even keep many around to begin with. You know, just have specifically women who breed the strongest is again taking things from like other areas like farming. So they want a world where they can selectively breed humans to do their bidding. So you get like types that are like agile and stamina efficient. I don't know what to call it actually. Those that can last longest in the job, they'll start to breed, and you know, even though it's a bit dangerous in some way, they also just don't care who they kill anyway. So you have to really look back at slavery to understand how in a modern context it might work. And rather it does work as well, because it happens elsewhere. You know, let's not forget that a lot of places in the world develop things that we can't make, especially in the UK and the US. So like, what do you expect? It's so fucking annoying. Like, come on, people, just fucking wake up already. You know, it's not my fight because I ain't got much to live for. To be honest, I'm just sick and tired of it. You know, I've done your work for you. It's your turn to act on it, but whether people do that or not, it's up to them. I don't think I'll force people. I would have had the option, but that's only because I care about the better future, the greater good, and the lesser evil. Like, that's why. It's not because I'm malicious, it's literally because I give a fucking shit. Unlike a lot of other people. So yeah, weirdly enough, it sort of ties into a topic I saw earlier. The most pathetic Pokemon trading card scalper fight. Most critical video again. And yeah, this is the shit that they get kicks out of. You know, and, well, you know, higher ups and even just like us even in general, but it's such a stupid situation. You can see them being so greedy. They knock off the cards off the shelves so nobody can grab them. They, like as the video showed, like beating up people for taking cards. And yeah, honestly, it's such a shitty situation. I just do not understand the point of it. Like, it genuinely doesn't make any sense. Because it's like, what the fuck? It's like so stupid. But this is what the world leads us to, because those people are probably struggling for money themselves, or were, rather, and then found an opportunity. They're going to keep doing it. And also because people buy it, for some reason these fucking idiots somewhere keep buying this stuff up, they're going to keep making a profit, aren't they? And this is also where I'm sort of bringing another solution to the problem of money inequality. Basically, get a list of the worst billionaires in the world and don't support them. It's as simple as that. On this list, it should be shared, it should be updated, and it should be shared as in it shouldn't disappear, even with a legal issue arising around it. That's our big solution to the problem that we're seeing, and when we can obviously not help these billionaires profit, we're going to benefit ourselves in the long run, because they're not making thousands or millions anymore. So yeah. Anyway, pretty much touched on everything, so I'll go ahead and move on to the next topic. First impressions of Final Fantasy XIV Third Walk. So I finally did it, and it took about 40 minutes with a very rough first boss, extremely rough. Like, what the fuck? It's overtuned, I think, but I could be wrong. But some of the mechanics don't really make much sense. Yeah, it's kind of weird to explain. I think some you can learn, others it's just like, I don't know. But we only ever did the meteor phase once and I was dead the entire time, so I didn't even see what happened, but I think the mechanics I struggled with most was probably the Ring of Fire the first time round. Hard to read because I didn't realise it was a ring. It's just like an overwhelming mass of the effects on the screen, and that just didn't help. So it was a bit weird. And then the wind thing, which caught me off guard. I only figured out last second that you need to stand against a wall to avoid being blown off. Also, the visuals of the raid I do like. They're some of the best in the game, I reckon. Almost as good as the Endwalker one, the first one of that. Was it the second one? I think it was the first. No, it's the second, wasn't it? First one took place in the sky, if I recall. But almost as good as that. But yeah, first boss okay. Ad phase, meh. Nothing really. Some things different, but not all of it. It looks like I've got first walk on an alliance raid. Which is good. Because I'm pretty sure I needed that. Yeah, I did. And then the second boss, I'm trying to remember what it is. Is it Alexander? Yeah, it's Alexander. It turned out okay. I just find the defense thing a bit confusing. But then the third boss, which is also somewhat interesting areas. It's hard to explain the mechanics without obviously seeing them in front of me. But there were some interesting mechanics there, something that's different. Gotta admit, it's quite different. There was like this cone. That was Alex, actually, wasn't it? No, it was Alexander. It's a cone phase with this turning, obviously. But interestingly, there was also some checkerboard stuff going on. You know, crossing, whatever you call it. Which I thought was really unique. Props for that, seriously. I do like when they experiment with that sort of thing. It really shows they're not afraid to go these different routes with that sort of thing. Make it more interesting for obviously new and old players as well. Because it really puts your expectations a bit higher, I guess. I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's kind of cool. Third boss I did struggle with this raid group as well, but it's only because it's sort of a bit all over the place with its mechanics. Some readable, some not. One that wasn't readable was the bug, because there is a bug with it, I think. For some reason, you can't always squeeze through. I was playing Ninja and my movement ability wouldn't work. I was spamming it, I couldn't click on like the area that I was meant to go to be safe, and I got hit in the end and died twice. So it's like, oh, great. Thanks, game. So I don't know what the fuck happened there. It's so weird. I haven't had a bug like that in quite a while. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's like ninja specific. You can move in it, but it's just that phase for some reason. It just didn't let me. It's almost like it wanted me to run there. I don't have the time for that. And then the fourth and final boss, which was it fourth? Yeah, it is. Yeah, just thinking there's a second phase spoiler. Sorry, but it's interesting. I think the first phase was only confusing with the things above your head. I don't know what the fuck those are. I've seen them multiple times in the game now, and I cannot figure out what they do. Like, what does a play button do? What does a pause button do? What does the I button do? And it seems no matter what I pick, no matter where these things appear, no matter what raid, never works. If you pause, you die. You get involved stack. Well, you don't die one shot, but you get hit. If you look, sometimes you get hit. Sometimes you don't. It had a question mark, so I'm assuming you had to look. So I did that. But it didn't give me a vold stack, which is good. And I also had the pause one. The pause one was successful the first few times, but it didn't persist, which was a bit annoying. So I don't really know what happened there. It's a very strange scenario. I don't know what the deal with that is. I hope someone could explain that, because I'm so confused about what it does. So it was all in confusion. A lot of unnecessary confusion. And also, the next thing. For some reason they had one of those coloured things again. They had, similar to like Shadowbringers one, like black and white, or light and dark, whatever you call it. They had a yellow and purple for this one, and I assumed maybe I need to be the opposite colour because that's usually what it is. It's my pattern recognition playing in there. But no, that's not it. Like, what? What the fuck? How is that even possible? So, yeah, I got a Vault stack, and second time around I did it successfully. I also forgot to mention that there's 2 levels of it. Like, you got to go either up or down based on the attack that's being used. It's like Cosmic Tail and Cosmic Breath, I believe, or Sonic Breath. But it's really interesting. I love that. It definitely has a different sort of vibe to it, a different sort of mechanic too, which I can really appreciate. Because it adds uniqueness, and it also takes inspiration from my favourite troll in the game, which is Hell on Rails. I fucking love this troll. I forgot to mention that before, but it is literally one of my favourites. So I like that it's sort of combining that, although it's a bit simplified, but it's still good. I wouldn't say it's bad. But yeah, I kind of like the last boss a bit better, and then the second phase wasn't anything special, I don't think. I couldn't notice anything different about it that made me think, oh yeah, that's cool. I don't know. But yeah, the raid itself is just okay. I think the first boss being overtuned, which may be explained by the story after, which made me realise that, oh, that's why. But it also kind of confused me because I was thinking there's so many deaths here. I don't know whether it's just overtuned or if it's if we're in for a surprise. But given that the rest of the raid wasn't as hard as the first boss, I'm confused. I'm as confused as I'm horny. Oh wait, I'm as confused as something else, not horny. But yeah, it's a real frustration in areas, but overall it is playable. If I could avoid it in certain scenarios, maybe, but I'm not sure. I reckon, like the second walk, with time it'll probably get better. And the first walk I'm so used to now, just do it blindfolded almost. Also, first walk actually here has some interesting mechanical difficulties. Like this dragon phase has a really fucking difficult part. So with the tornadoes and stuff, and you can't get hit by any of this shit because you'll just die. It kind of sucks. It's not difficult, it's just bullshit, really. Yeah, I don't know what else to add. Honestly, it's just an interesting raid overall. It's not special, but it's not shit, which I think is all I can really ask for with that. Because if it was a shit raid, then we'd have more problems, I think. Yeah, next up I'm going to try, what's his name? So what is the defensive posture? Is it forward or back? No, inside, okay. It's been a while. It's been at least a month or two. Yeah, that Unreal trial is going to be interesting, I think, possibly. I have to wait and see, because I need to try it first. I didn't get any time to move there. Let's see where it started. And then the MSQ, I've got to do the dungeon trial next. Yeah, I'll talk about the Unreal because it's a separate thing, but then I'll talk about the MSQ because I'm actually going to pay attention to this one. For the first time in how many patches? 3, 4 maybe. And the only reason I didn't pay attention to the others is because I just couldn't fucking be bothered with the story. It was terrible. I didn't like the story, even post MSQ, or post story, whatever you call it. It's just a shame, really. There's so much potential and they just wasted it for what? This fucking sci-fi ass story which didn't really make any better stories. It's so weird. But yeah, I just think I did a poor job of doing the storytelling and having moments. Anyway, I better move on, so yeah. So, Shinryu's domain Unreal. I do not like this. Yeah, I'm going to be entirely honest, it's not that great. Again, it seems like a senior pattern is, because I've only started doing Unreal since Reaper Snakes. That was the first ever one I did, and you know, it's unusual to me because I'm not used to what these are doing. Like, as far as I know, it's basically the extreme versions of Trials, just, you know, obviously done in a different way. And I find it kind of curious that it's like they keep redoing it like this, and I don't know. Like, it's a very strange thing to me, just seeing all this. It's new to me. I did use a guide actually, but the guide didn't help that much. We're back to roles again, and once again I played DPS. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I always playing DPS on practice days? It doesn't make sense. I did it for rather Reaper Snakes, Tsukiyomi's, and this. And I guarantee you, the next few weeks, there's only going to be tank slots left for some reason. And I didn't even know how to play tank on this. It's like, it's pain. I don't know what happens. I think players just drop in and out or something and think, oh, I'm done with that. And obviously leave it. So they just don't come back. It's very strange. As I said, I don't really fucking get it, to be honest. So it is a bit confusing in that sense. I might do a quick PvP since I'm here, and get the levels up a bit, and I could start moving on to other things. Yeah, like, it's just like, what the hell? Is this real? Sometimes I get some sort of existential dread. Oh, we could do Joker Race actually. Let's like browse. But it's so weird. Where do I start? Okay, the beginning. There are too many mechanics. Like, what the fuck? The fact that the second phase is easier than the first is insane to me. So you got like groups and stuff, which is interesting. You got electric, where you need to spread. I get that. You get this green crystal, which I think damages the platform, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't do it correctly the only time I got it, but I didn't die, which is weird. I'm not sure, but I also might have given everyone a debuff, so I don't know what happened there. I'm trying to look at the mechanics. I wonder if there's an easier way. FFXIV Shinryu's domain Unreally. Let's see, because I could go mechanic by mechanic. Earthen Fury, I don't understand what this is. Monster corrupted, ether gauges form, resulting in unaffordable damage to the entire raid. By destroying the east and the western dials, as well as dealing one hit various other platforms, noticeable cracks. Okay, that's not what my team was saying, my party. They're just saying cone, and that didn't mean anything to me. Burning Chains, the Tevo individually. Oh yeah, this one. Again, I don't know what to do with this one. It's so confusing because everyone gets a chain. And I'll just assume that we go to our positions, our respective ones. So, say I'm R2 and I get chained to M1. We have to go to different corners. So, obviously, I go to the. Oh, I've got my compass northeast, I believe. Yeah. Wait, no, southeast. Southeast I go to. So I go to that very far corner, and that's basically where you leave it, so that's fine. Tidal Wave, I know how to do this mechanic. I've done it in the Unsynced because it's a crucial mechanic. Pretty easy to do. It's not even the hardest one for some reason, even though it one-shots you if you do it wrong. But you basically do about 2 platforms of movement blocks or whatever. And then there's water puddles, which I don't get. So, what does it say? Various occasions, water or ice-based attack, such as above. By standing in the puddle, players gain major fire resistance and also massive lightning vulnerability. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess. So don't stand in it electric, do stand in it fire. That's basically what it is. Summon Icicle. Special attacks, is everything. Summons 3 icicles, which eventually dash across the line, not passing debuffs in the path. To avoid, players must position themselves out of the way, which is easy enough, but for some reason I kept seeing players standing in the way. I don't know why they were doing that, and I got confused, so I thought, do I take it or what? Because I just assumed there's like a mechanic there, where it's like, you need to stand in this time, because they tried to change it up, but no. So you don't. And then there's Tail Slam, which is the one I got, so green shard, which will slam down to the side, deal damage to 2 tiles, as well as 1 coin in the path. Wait, what? Wait, how the fuck does that work? If the tail mark is dropped in a way where it collides with at least 1 undamaged tile, that tail will remain attackable for a brief period. Oh. Okay, so this is the ad phase, and the ad phase is with the first phase, I mean, the answer spawn. I get confused about it. I got overwhelmed by that quite easily. There's too much going on to even pay attention to it, so I didn't understand it. Just ringed really weird to me, so I just never understood it. And every time it spawned, I was like, "What's going on? Why? What are we doing?" And then it's like, "Oh, there's a fucking ad there. It's a tail." And then you go to the front, and there's this hole, and it's like, "What? Can you simplify this for fucking once? Like, why is it so complicated?" And even then, I don't always pay attention to the entity list. I sometimes forget it's there, so I'm easily forgetting it. It really just sucks. It's just so bad. So it's a really bad mechanic in my opinion. Felt incredibly unnecessary to have. I don't know if that's the addition though. I didn't notice it in the ultimate. What? No, what's the other one? The extreme version. That's it. So I didn't notice it in that. So it's very weird. Yeah, so it weirded me out a lot. So I didn't like it. Should have to tell Sam finish 2 abilities, right wing. Could be 11 bubble, like speed based on player lightning damage. That's the other thing. It keeps doing mechanics almost directly after the next one, or the previous one, I mean. The next one. And it just gets really overwhelming. We've had wipes from that, which annoys me. And admittedly, this is one of the easier parts of one of the easier trials. Compared to, like, I don't know, Reaper Snakes, probably a bit easier. It's a bit weird. And then you get the bottoms, Heart, attack that, yeah, Ice Storm, unavoidable damage from Shinryu's F-Wing, this the other side of Central Slam, air attack on the central tile, that must be avoided. I don't get what you're supposed to do there. Then Act Morn, too many mechanics, as I said, this is like the 10th fucking one. The Vicious Tank Busters, both tanks share the heavy damage mitigation cooldowns, although a lone tank can utilise immunity cooldown instead. The ability to overlap with Akrai. Akrai will target the ground beneath a random damage dealer, doing a vicious AoE damage after a brief delay. All players must move away from it. Oh, that's the flashing thing I keep seeing. So yeah, it makes sense. I do see that, but it's not readable. I don't think I ever got it, so I didn't know where it went. So it's a bit weird to me. At this point, Shinryu will prepare cast 2 ultimate abilities, gravity, gauge, hellfire, just remote hellfire, and pretty much no. Like hyper open flares must utilise fire resistance up and absorb the damage while simultaneously avoiding icicle. So yeah, 2 at once. Annoying. Judgment Bomb ultimate, being lightning base. Best players to avoid both water puzzles and summoned icicles simultaneously. Per debuff you get hit. Bear in mind, ultimate will cleanse the platform of all remaining water puzzles. I don't fucking know. Tell Sam again, Venus no, Worm's Heart no, Burn Heart no, Earth Breath no. All no. Diamond Dust, this is the one that sort of gets me off guard. It's a bit confusing because it seems to appear randomly and then it appears when you least expect it. So I've had moments where I position myself and then it just appears. And then I just slid off and I'm like, oh, dead. Luckily, I think they took into account that players would die to that, so they obviously reduced HP pool, or at least made the phase 1 a bit faster and easier, which is good. Well, less health, I mean, but enough that there's no enrage, so I don't know if there's an enrage on the first. So I don't like this mechanic, it's a bit shit. It's very unnecessary in my opinion, needs to be removed. Then there's Ryu forehands, which apparently healers have to heal with single targets by targeting them. Otherwise they inflict damage, isn't it? Yeah, it seems to inflict damage. It's kind of cool for healers, I guess. It's like a semi-damage mechanic, or reverse damage rather. Which is pretty cool. It's got to be fun. Obviously I'm not going to play healer in this, am I? Ever. The Worm's Heart generates lots more. Area Blast, I hate this, but you need a knockback thingy to use, so that's short cast and arm's length you need. And it's a bit annoying in that sense. It does get in the way a bit, it's a bit confusing. What else is there? It's like, avoid that Earth Breath again, Dive Bomb, and this is where it goes into a different phase. So phase 2 is really nothing really, just put things everywhere, but I've found it's too random. I don't know if like the DPS get their rings. I'll look in the guide quick. So let's see. Yeah, like random, because I got the spreads for this, whatever it is, the death thing. It's supposed to spread in a 5 line like the other ones, I suppose, or it is. Actually, it's just the one. But killing the ads is fine, it's just like the Tsukuyomi's unreal, to be honest. Just DPS it down as fast as possible, but without cooldowns, so it's like you save damage. It does become necessary, I will mention that. We didn't wipe to the enrage, but did get close. We were like on the W part of it when we finished the boss for the last time. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of that, honestly. Enrage just sucks anyway for something this difficult, this inaccessible for that matter. But then obviously the tail comes down after the ad phase and then you climb it. That ad phase can be a bit annoying. I think if I recall from the unsync you can get knocked off. But you need to literally be careful with that to basically avoid disaster. You need to navigate it carefully and then you can drop off right near the platform and you'll be fine. But then we get into the last stage, which is much more simple, but it's also a bit annoying because there's also other things here. Terra Slash, which applies a physical vulnerability, which both attacks need to be ready to swap, which I can understand. It's talking my language. Ryu again, so another heal phase. Terra Slash, another tank swap again. Minutes 2. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Then Burning Chains, which this one I do find confusing, which overlaps with Atomic Ray, forcing the group to break their chains, preferably in pairs, so that they can also absorb atomic ray without clipping it or applying debuffs to anyone else around them. So this mechanic makes no sense. What the fuck is even the order? I'll check the guide again, but I'm so confused what it is. So here's atomic ray, chains appear. Let's see, it's a hector guide. It's supposed to do it in a square. Is that right? But it's stack, so I'm a bit confused. So I was in the right position. So up north, which makes sense, I suppose. But yeah, I'm paired with healer 2. It's like the basic pairing. But my healer never came. So but all 3 or 4 times it's happened, I only survived I survived it 3 times, but I got debuffs and Von stacks on each one, and one even resulted in my death. So it's like, yeah, it kind of fucking sucks. It's a really bad mechanic, and I think that needs changing as well. It's really hard to sort of read, so I don't know, it's confusing. But then you get the next one, which is annoying because Hank called it out from once, but it's fine mostly. But it seems to be 2 mechanics at once. For some reason it's not in the wiki here, it's just a bit confusing. But it combines previous mechanics, so you can get lightning and ice. So like, you get a wing that summons ice and lightning that will spawn, obviously, but that means that you have to spread and basically get hit. Because the lightning will kill you, so basically the electric mechanic we have to spread, and then the lightning, that's what it does what the fuck am I saying, and the ice will freeze you for some reason. Bit confused about that though, because the tank kept saying stop in the chat, and I was like, what do you mean? I thought it was like a thing, so like a snide comment like, oh, stop that, you shouldn't be doing this, but no. I'm a bit confused about that. Definitely not good communication there, in my opinion. But it's hard to read as well, because I don't know exactly what it means. Like, what if you get ice and, what's the other one? Oh, you do get ice and fire, so it's like stack. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm an idiot. But so, you also get ice and something else, I believe? I can't remember the combination now. But yeah, it's not fun. It's a bit of a frustrating mechanic to deal with. Depends on whether your team are aware, and also there's no order to it again, so it's like free for all, other than corners, I guess. So it's a bit confusing, and then finally you go onto the wings, and that's the basic part. Players will see the limit break here to do it, but yeah. It's quite a frustrating fight overall. Didn't expect to be that frustrating though. I thought there was going to be a lot of simplicity, but here it's just kind of like manic. I think the first phase is the worst one. The second phase is a bit better. It's probably more recoverable as well. There's less one shots. In fact, there's barely any. It's much more doable. But yeah. What else is there to even say? Visually nothing impressive, just normal Shinryu fight, average Shinryu fight. So it very much needs just some improvements and some balancing. So I want to apply anti-itching cream to my fucking skin. Keeps itching again. So yeah. Don't really know what else to add, to be honest. It's just a meh event. I'm just gonna have to do it each week again. Probably again. I don't look forward to it. Even with practice, it's just kind of like but luckily the tank's jobs are much less severe here, I noticed. So because the boss is fixed in place, and obviously the ads are kind of fixed in a way, it does seem a bit easier. So just does things in that way. But yeah, so I don't really have anything else to say. Like, it's just a trial, and I'll talk about the MSQ and then dungeon trial with that afterwards when I get there. Even well, weekly's almost finished. I just need to do mage. Then I think that's it. Yeah, it's just a trial. That's it. So let's move on. Alright, sorry this isn't about 7.5, but it is important nonetheless. It's just complaining about the fact that I didn't realise this before, but it is disappointing that the challenge log still includes such bullshit and useless fucking tasks for the Gold Saucer challenge log. It's actually ridiculous, and I actually do need to ask that, actually. This is actually another type of thing. Do I need a Phantom job max? Because I'm wondering if, obviously the patch that they had the, whatever it's called, the other in-game bit for Dawn Trail. But I'm wondering if you need to be leveled for that, because if you need to, then I'm fucked. I need to do that ASAP. In that case, not a problem though, because I think the challenge log has some stuff. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the challenge log bullshit, and I'll also show it in a second. When the race obviously finishes, I'll try to show it anyway. It's just one area that I've looked into, and I realise it's not worth it. So as I just saw, I just threw a Chocobo win the Chocobo race, and it's only because there's no point doing it, no point taking it seriously. If you get to the finish, you get XP, but even then, and MVP, or even then, it's not worth it. But some of these are just not worth it in general. Like the mini games are a bit weird. I think you could still do it in the free time. It takes only about 2-3 minutes to get the full rewards with the MGP earned. The gates, easy enough. Successfully complete gates, that depends really. As long as you get Air Force 1 or maybe Leap of Faith or even Cliffhanger, I think you're good to go on those. Is that another one? I can't remember now. Something that's slipped my mind. But yeah, that's easy enough. Enter Chocobo races, easy enough. Win a Chocobo race, nope. Maybe there's one, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to justify. If it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, then no. Triple Triad, easy enough. Win Triple Triad. If you do Battle Horn, you do the one in the northwest corner. It's pretty easy to do in quite a few minutes. It does take a bit though, because sometimes you do draw. It's very rare. It doesn't always happen. But you also get the play in the Battle Hall one and win in the Battle Hall one as well, so it's like doing 4 at once. And participate in the tournament, which is a bit annoying. I don't know if there's a tracker for it, but I usually wait for these around 8 o'clock local time. Not sure what that is, server time. But these are probably better because you get the cards, and the cards you can then use to either trade in or, collect. It's kind of the point. I wish it rewarded Mithril, and I wish the bots were easier, which is the only big problem. But then the next thing to do is Lord of Vermilion, which I just do a master battle and then AFK. That way it's done quicker and it gets done faster. You do that 5 times. But then we get into the issue ones where Chocobo races, I think it should just be like 10. Then the winning one should just be removed or apps, or maybe reworked. I don't know how to address it really. Maybe testing your knowledge could be a way to do it, so maybe using items, dodging things, like maybe just a combination of everything, so you stack it up to like 40 or something, so collect items, dodge enemies, use items as well, I might as well. But it's something different that can incentivize you to play it rather than AFK it. Again, it's just fix your problem. This is fucking weird. So yeah, but there's no point in winning. because it would just be a waste of time. Unless you're free to do stuff, which sometimes I am. Like I can do the races whilst I eat, for example, and watch a TV show, but even then, I sort of know if I've lost by the first minute of a game, because you can see either the chocobo's speed or stamina, depends on what it is, and you can see who's beating you, and that's already proof enough. So yeah, and also the fact you can turn by players is also an issue in itself, so that causes problems. Yeah, I just do not like it. It sucks no matter what. But the next one, which I find even more interesting and equally as useless upon looking it up, because there's no quick way to do it, is participate in 2 Mahon player matches. What the fuck are you thinking when you design this? Like, genuinely. Why? Like, shit just doesn't make any sense. It's so bad, because, just for context, I've had 2 types of matches in the time I've been playing it, or rather 3. It's been confusing to learn, and I still haven't grasped it, because even the things I do right are not right. It's very strange, but first example, I tried to throw and lose, and I do basically the strategy of putting the highest value card out there, which even then it does benefit other players, technically speaking. I'm not sure if that's correct, because you have to get the melds and stuff, I know that, but it's based on what other players place down in that turn, or what they have in their hand. Like, it really depends. It's both actually, but that's like the one way you can sort of lose it quick. But then there's a second way where you get really unlucky and your attempts to lose end up with a draw. And this ends up extending the game. And this is a quick match, by the way. It's not just any full match. It's a quick match. I've done many of these. I can show you my progress here somewhere. So yeah, I've purposely thrown, as you can see, because I just don't care. I don't find it fun. I can't understand it, and it just doesn't make sense. So that's the character voice. Interesting, that's what those are for, I guess. Although I would. It's a bit fucking useless, really. Yeah. Also, I just hate that collection of it. That's stupid. It is so dumb to have that. I don't know why they bothered adding it. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it makes it more interesting, but it's too expensive. Anyway. Yeah, so that's the second type of match. It's like, it ends in draws and stuff, and it takes you longer than it should, and usually it's only like 1 or 2 on the best kind of matches. And players will get a fair like payout. It takes about, with the losses, it takes about 20 minutes. With the draws, it takes about 30 minutes. Now we can see a problem here, can't we? So, also that contributing to the lack of an understanding of it, that doesn't help. So what happens then is, in the third case, there are matches where it goes on and on. So it ends up with not 1, not 2, but 3 or 4 draws. And then it takes over an hour. This isn't a quick match, you fucking moron. Why is it even advertised as that? That makes no sense. So, that's immediately an issue here. The thing is, it's not even like you could just quickly go into these anyway. There's no thing for that. But it just makes no sense, and I don't even want to do a full match. It's like no point. It says consisting of 8 hands, and then these are consisting of 4 hands. So obviously I go with the 4 hands. That makes the most sense. But it can end up with an hour-long match or more, and I've had that. There's only like a week or 2 ago that I had it. It's fucking ridiculous, and the thing that made it go on for longer was not only the players obviously taking their time. It's also someone who knew how to fucking play it, basically was a smurf, and ended up with 80,000 rating. by the end, literally draining me into the minus, even though I don't really care. But getting other players into under 16,000. So you've also got the issue here where there's a player imbalance, and that can also draw out the game time in a fucking ridiculous way. So I think these need a rework for sure, and obviously I've said my solution for the chocobo races. But I think the solution for Mahjong is just one match. You know, one draw, one win or lose, and that's it. And it's unranked. That should be the other thing. Because I don't think it should be ranked if you don't want to. Although the only issue is, it does create queue time issues, but I think then you should just allow it to be with NPCs. So why does it have to be player matches rather than NPC matches? In fact, if I go and do that, we'll see. Like, I don't know if it'll be quick or anything, I'll test it now. But if I do like a match here, where there obviously isn't players, then I don't know. Like, I don't know what to fucking do, and I wish there was like a... Actually, there might even be like an overlay. I don't know if it's chasing, I don't really fucking care. But an overlay to just pick your cards, so... I don't know, and this thing also doesn't help. The hidden thing is a bit useless. Because all you're doing is scrapping cards to make melds here, and that's it. So like, it's telling me to scrap a 4, but even then it's quite valuable. So I don't know. But I don't fucking care. But I just hate this. I do not like Mahjong at all. So I'm just going to throw whatever out and see what happens. But it shouldn't take this long. It's really fucking bad. Like, these don't even say whether they're long or fast. It's really badly labelled. So somebody's already got Reachy, so I don't know. It's probably a good sign. But there's also apparently conditions for the win/lose part, because I don't even understand this game. There's no explanation that's actually managed it for me, but apparently you need like Reachy to win or lose, and it's only if like another player has that. So you're already sort of cucked by the reality there, where you literally need that condition to be able to succeed in this, and I don't like that one bit. Like there, some like literally NPC got a full fucking melt. And that, or racing go down. Oh well. But how many matches is it? It doesn't even say. And the thing is, you can't even pause this, so this is what I mean. You need a faster version for this. It doesn't matter what fucking hand you get. Like, who cares? A fast match is a fast match. I think that'd be more beneficial to players. If they want to play it seriously, they should find a group, really. That's what the group finder is for. I wonder if they have that in group finder. I know they have gold source, but I don't know if they have like specifics, like the 1 per million or whatever it could be. So I genuinely don't know. Yeah, I guess it remains to be seen as well whether there's an improvement. But I don't know. As I said, so many stupid things in this game that really annoy me. This being one of them. And it just takes up more time as well. That's a thing that's not helpful. And I just got a pond there. Why not make it quicker? But yeah. Anyway, I ought to move on. Stuff to do again. I may have forgotten to add to that last point about, well, the shittiness of Mahjong. Yeah, Mahjong, yeah. But it's, there's a realisation I had even whilst I was discussing that, and I completely forgot to mention it. But that's basically, it's a good replacement for gates, because I was looking online, looking for the quickest way to do it, and people say it's not even worth doing. And then I thought, well, there must be some reason why, right there? And the realisation I had really depends on whether it's like a patch day like today, where the queues are really long and you're already busy doing other things, but you also may be questing, for example. So, for example, when I start doing the MSQ for this patch 7.5, it may be worth it in the long run to queue for Mahjong, a quick match, whenever I get into the MSQ, or whilst I'm going through it rather. So it provides that element where, even though it may be disruptive, it could provide some quick MGP, and I'm not in that much of a hurry for it, admittedly, although it would be handy to have. But even then, it's still kind of a waste of time, a waste of MGP as well. You spend, again, 20 minutes to an hour or more just getting this shit, and again, it feels pointless because the justification here becomes, oh well, I'm this deep in, I guess, so I might as well. But that's not even good to do, so even that's still pretty useless, and again, I'm just refuting my point. There's no point in queuing for it when you're busy doing something else either, so yeah, it just doesn't work out. I've literally got it in my a weekly list to do. I've got Gold Saucer Challenge Log, Ignore Choco Wins, and Mahal. Yep, very simple. And obviously until they introduce a system that's more worth it, more worthwhile, there's no reason to do it, in all honesty. So yeah, once again, it's just more pointless game design shit. And also did the NPC one, it didn't count, which sucks, because that would have been a good way to do it. But no, it also takes a while. I think it's 6 hands, not 8 for some reason. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this, to be honest. It's just really bad. So hopefully they rework it at some point, if they even bother to. Yeah. Anyway, let's actually move on now. I figured this is worth making. I haven't seen the presentation, but I do not want to watch it, because I think it might just kill me. See, apparently during the FanFest, I think it was Cody Fox who talked about it, but apparently they were talking about AI. Yep, this failing pile of shit that's already destroying the planet and destroying our lives. For some reason, it seems like Square Enix is a bit sort of pro AI, and apparently the CEO is the most fond of it, which really annoys me. Hang on, I've got to go do something quick. So I forgot where I was. It's a bit annoying. It was just a thing that come up, but yeah, AI stuff just never makes sense. And the CEO apparently is like the biggest, I think, lover of it. So why don't you just marry it? But probably might actually. I'll think about it. But it's so dumb because this just will kill the game. Because if we start implementing generative AI to this game, which already in itself isn't really high budget or even necessarily needing that, even with like issues like low poly textures and low poly models and low resolution textures, like it's not really an issue that AI can deal with, and I just get so fed up of it when I hear it. It's like, fuck off. I'm not playing a game with AI in it, and it will make me quit this game. It would even make me quit Deep Rock Galactic, where I can definitely see the AI being problematic, because AI is just garbage. It's not sustainable, it's not ready for what it's supposed to be. Like we're far from a perfect AI at this point. Even then, it's not worth it. There's just too many consequences, and this is the other thing. Every single fucking time I hear AI mentioned, it's never about the consequences, it's always about the benefits. Like, AI can generate my porn, AI can generate art images, AI can generate text and read a fucking article. But what about the people who are fucked over by it? There's absolutely nothing on that. It's just fucking ridiculous. You know, all the data center usage and data centers that need to be built, all the land that needs to be taken up for it, all the water that needs to be taken up for it, which by the way we need because we're going into a water crisis apparently. Like, there's never any fucking mention of it. And I don't think anyone's genuine when they talk about AI. because they don't mention these consequences. They don't say, we'll iron these out first, or we'll wait for these to go away first. But no, they do not say anything like that, so we just get this shitty version of, obviously, AI, and it's like, fuck's sake. Of course, that really pisses me off. As I said, it's enough to make me want to quit games if they are used in them. Again, even the games that I really enjoy, because it just doesn't make sense. It is not a good thing for gaming, and one of the things with gaming that really makes it an art form is that it has a human touch. If you think about all the good AAA games in the last few years, like Baldur's Gate 3 for example, you know, that didn't have AI, as far as I'm aware. And you look at Split Fiction, which as far as I know, it didn't have AI either. But you like look at these cases of games that were well received and did well. Even like Nintendo games like Mario Kart World did extremely well, and it did look good. So, but you know, it's so fucking disappointing. And I'd rather a game like Pokemon Legends EA, as an example, than an AI slot machine. Because even with a game as shit as Legends EA, at least it's got a human touch. It hasn't got the fucking lifeless, soulless AI that we come to know at this point. It hasn't got that. And that's what makes it immediately better than AI. So, yeah, as I said, it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I just wish that companies would be held accountable for this, and we would see a world where at least people might like hold them accountable and like physically do something about it. Because it's just frankly dangerous and stupid at this point to just have this crap. Like, why is it even legal? That is the thing I keep coming to every now and then. It's like, why is it still legal to have AI to use it? And I just can't wrap my head around it. And I guarantee you, if they made it illegal, it would make it easier to probably catch people as well, because it's only the odd ones out that are doing it anyway. The average person probably usually doesn't even give a fuck. And even then, if they are doing something generative AI, it's probably locally hosted rather than in a vacuum, like, you know, Sora, OpenAI, or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's just fucking ridiculous that there will be AI use in a game like Final Fantasy XIV, which doesn't need it. You know, it doesn't need it for the writing, it doesn't need it for the artwork. The art's been generally fine every fucking expansion I've been through. So it doesn't even solve a problem. So you're just imagining things if you think that it does anything. There's no such thing as making it better either, because we are yet to see that happen. In games where AI assets are used, we don't even see that. I know Arc Raiders might be used as an example here, but that game is shit. What a lot of people don't realise is people don't actually enjoy it. You know, it's got the problem of using generative AI voices rather than, well, anything else. And you know, it's still bad just for that reason, but it's also the gameplay, and I don't know if it's like fully generative AI, having said that, but it does feel like it is generated by AI in certain areas where it does feel lacking and it feels crap. Yeah, as I said, it's just extremely frustrating to see this as a thing that's still alive and unfortunately well. It's so annoying. I'm fed up of hearing this shit. I just want it to disappear already. And yeah, weirdly enough, that will take me onto another topic, which I need to talk about. Yeah, so let's move on to that. So the next topic is about I'm halfway through this podcast episode, but it's about politics podcast. Somehow Zach managed to get someone from Love Island on there, and I don't watch it, but I still think it's interesting. I've heard about Love Island, I'm not really interested in that. But I do think who he's got on is an interesting woman. But she has brought up some really interesting points, which I can agree with. What's her name anyway? Sharon Gafka. Okay. So he's talking to her, and she's also talking about the violence against women and stuff, and is still really important and relevant today. And I think the biggest problem that we're going to face with obviously all the crisis going on is that people are going to realise that we're nearing the end of our days, and yeah, unfortunately horrible things come from that, and I don't think there's really any stopping it, but yeah, I've had to give advice like self-defense training. It's probably the best way. Yeah, you don't want to give the satisfaction that they so selfishly deprive from obviously abhorrent acts. So I think that's really important, but yeah, there were some things brought up in this that I thought were interesting, because she actually admits that one of the biggest problems in the internet at the moment is that the algorithm supports misogyny and basically supports men being, like, how do I describe it, into being misogynistic. That's probably the best way to describe it. And it recommends you the Andrew Tates of the internet and many other bad things. Even like recently, weirdly, even though I never even looked into it, at least for a few years, I got recommended a video about all the quote-unquote woke movie flops that happened, and it's like, what the fuck even is woke? Because I still can't understand what the fuck it even means. I don't think anybody does. And it never is consistent. And even then, the quote-unquote woke flops, I saw only one movie I recognised in that one show, whatever it was. And that was the movie Lightyear, was obviously based on Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. And even then, I didn't hate that movie. I think it was quite commendable in some ways. Yeah, it had like time dilation and stuff, which I thought was cool. But yeah, it just wasn't amazing. I think it'd be a stretch to call it amazing. But yeah, I find a lot of the time these sort of spaces are misogynistic when they're anti-woke and they are obviously anti-women's rights and stuff, and then I have to think about what it is that men say and do in spaces like this or in other places, so like reform voters, for example. I think, how would I respond to someone in a, for example, Facebook comment section who's being misogynistic? Maybe they're looking at this this guest on the Bold Politics podcast and saying, oh, we shouldn't listen to women, they've got the right to vote or anything, or they're just horrible people, and I don't know. There's a bunch of different excuses, and then I'd have to respond something about how obviously we don't choose who we're born as, and that inherently means that you have to respect women and you have to respect their rights. And obviously, from what I understand of rights as well, more importantly, is that women are human beings. They're not objects. We know this because the science says so, and we know this because we share a lot in common. So, yeah, wherever people argue from about misogyny is just absolute nonsense. But I can also say, as a sort of steel man with enough, is that they don't necessarily view women as objects. It's like, it's not even a thought that comes across to their heads. It's more like they view women as a means to an end, which doesn't necessarily mean they're an object. And I know this personally because unfortunately I was sort of in that rabbit hole once upon a time. And yeah, it's a dark place because it unfortunately it leads you to believe that the problem isn't you, and that's also a dangerous thing too. And I think because sometimes the message, and I used to get this as well, so again sort of another steel man, the message I used to sort of get is that it's a you problem. Honestly, I couldn't see that. I couldn't see why it was a me problem, and nobody was pointing it out. So in the end, my narrative became instead to bring up, like, okay, I'm the problem, but what is it? What is the problem I have? And I'd never get an answer. So it got even stranger from there. And it took me years to figure it out, but it turns out that the me problem really is to do with my traits and what's inherently part of me. And then coming to terms with that and then redirecting my ideas and my thoughts into something else. So what happened is I discovered that I'm quite vulnerable. I have autism, I have anxieties, I have autistic burnout, which basically is depression, but a bit worse, I think. And that leads to the problems. And mainly the only problem I can point out with women is they pick the most confident and most charismatic. I don't know if that's a term. But they pick like the men who are most loud and most voiced, and that's also a problem. That's the only thing I can really pinpoint as a big issue that contributes to a lot of misogyny. But everything else I don't think is really an issue. Well, there's several like attractiveness, like physical attraction, but that's more a different topic in its own way. But that does impact it a bit. But I'd argue that it's not really about this, it's about redirecting your thoughts and getting a proper answer. So whenever I've been sort of criticised about this, I've been thinking, like, what could be the problem I have? And again, it comes down to the traits I have, the autism, the OCD, the anxiety. And that causes issues, and I realised that I can't actually change these, so what do I do? And in the end I realised I just need to explore myself a bit more. I need to take my attention away from what's bothering me there about women, about my various issues, and look for something else. And what do you know? It turns out I have a bias towards men. It turns out I'm pansexual. So that exploring actually paid off and made me realise, actually, yeah, I don't really need to date women if I don't have to. So I can end up going towards, obviously, the more male route. And that tends to be the best option for me because there is more understanding there. Unfortunately, this is one of the sad things about the situation too, and it doesn't help women. But I think the more empathetic a person is, the better they are for the cause, and that goes always. That's again why I could speak up on inceldom and misogyny, and even this. Why I could speak up for women's rights, and to also direct it back towards women now. I think we do need to do a lot more to help women, obviously. I said before that I want to literally take all the pain that women have, put it into me, and I'll suffer a lifetime, an eternity, just to get rid of all the pain that women have. And it'll be worthwhile, because I'd hate to be in this situation. It is genuinely terrifying. I've heard personal stories as well. I've heard about catcalling, I've heard about other things that are kind of horrible, but yeah, it's a really sad reality that we're in. But then I have to mention the comments again, because I was thinking about this whilst listening to this podcast, and I was thinking, what do I say to someone who looks at that and thinks like, oh, what are you, like a puffer, a fag, a tranny? I don't know, they might even accuse me of being a, excuse the language, but nigger sympathiser, I mean. But they'll literally say something like that and not even care. But why should I care? I don't. The thing is, the one thing I know about misogynists and incels, it's not all incels to be fair, but it's usually misogynists are the problem. They also appear in those spaces, but misogynists, the one thing they all share in common is that they're weak and they're cowardly. The only reason that they pick on women is because they know they have an advantage. And that is male privilege, that is obviously male rights, there's a lot more of them than we have anything else than women's rights, and that's one of the problems. But where obviously I set myself apart, and only a select few men do, is we actually want to take away the pain that women have and go to lengths to do it. I can't remember when it was, but when I could afford it, I donated to a women's charity during a Games Done Quick speedrun. I think it was like a women's institution or something in places where they're discriminated against so they can get education. It's like a Muslim-run country, I think, or Islam. Was it Sharia law? I think it might be Sharia law. I could be wrong about that. But I was like donating to this to essentially help women in those situations, but I try to do these acts wherever I can. And on top of that, I have to say to the people who insult me for being weak, for being like feminine or whatever I am according to them, I have to say, you're too cowardly to even do half of these things. You wouldn't even do a quarter of them. You wouldn't donate to charity, you wouldn't take a woman's pain, and you wouldn't even give a shit about what women are going through. You wouldn't empathise. So I'm already doing a lot better than these cunts and these pussies that are calling me weak for being empathetic. And then do I have to go into the even darker stuff to tell you how strong you need to be to actually overcome all these problems and even realise these things? I've seen animals die gruesome deaths, I've seen humans die gruesome deaths and even suffer. I've seen a lot of shit. And to say that I'm somehow weak because, well, I care, I'm empathetic, that just shows how cowardly you are and how weak you are. You literally exploit people and exploit living beings for pleasure. But I don't. I try to avoid it wherever I can. And that's honestly a lot better than what they're doing. Yeah. It applies to like the animal rights aspect, it applies to human rights obviously, and even applies to Earth. Well, the fact is, there's a difference between someone who's I don't know, I've lost my train of thought now. The difference between someone who's obviously exploiting something and someone who's not. Because I think someone who's trying to exploit something is much like the evil people in the world at the moment, like Trump and billionaires and Israel. But they exploit these facts to get away with whatever they want, and that in itself is a weakness. It's just cowardly. Yeah, this is why I obviously defend women's rights. It's because they are part of a vulnerable part of the world, where women don't always have the rights and don't always have the light of day when it comes to anything about crime or being a victim of abuse or anything else. There's so many different areas where women are discriminated against. And then you try to look at the opposite, where men have the same issues, and you see that men are treated way fucking better. You can see the issues, and this isn't just like an outrage sort of thing, like most people would probably accuse of, because they're very narrow-minded. This is actually something that's demonstrated. You can see through studies, you can see through surveys. My voice is going. You can see it through a lot of different venues that this in fact is something that's actually happening. A lot of women don't have the right to vote around the world. A lot of women don't even have access to proper facilities and even proper pay for that matter. So there is actually a gap. And the fact we're still seeing that all these years later after the suffragettes movement, I believe it was, it shows that we are seeing still many issues. And if you think about it this way, this is the other terrifying thought, and I recommend women and people really empathetic about this skip ahead. But a lot of crimes against women have probably never gone reported, meaning that they weren't actually crimes at a certain point in time. They were actually legal. And that shows how much has changed, but arguably we've seen things move in the correct direction here, in the right direction, because a lot of these crimes now are becoming bigger issues, and they are legal issues, they are moral issues, they're even like physical issues, and we're recognising them for what they are. Whereas obviously, say 100 years ago, or even 500 years ago, it would have been seen that women are objects, that are disposable, that they don't deserve proper rights, and that's it. And why do you think war was so violent? Back before we had the Industrial Revolution, and back before we had science. It's because people could get away with it, and men had the power, oftentimes. And that's why it's so violent. And that's why a lot of it went unreported, and that's why I did advise people to obviously skip ahead if you're quite sensitive to that. Because it's basically similar to wild animal suffering. Although, obviously in the world it's a bit different because, yeah, unfortunately stuff happens. But even in society, it's still quite harrowing. It's basically the same as a slave trade, in some ways. But even then the slave trade is probably far worse. Again, there are so many different fucking crimes that are committed that don't go reported. Because of the I don't know what you call it, the tunnel of history, I don't know what you actually call it. Yeah, there's so much injustice and it sucks, but no matter what, I think I'll still fight for women's rights, no matter what. And it also goes for other women too, so like the minorities of women, women of race, women of colour, women, trans women, queer women, anyone. But not lesbian women. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I'll fight for lesbian women. But yeah, it really sucks that we have this situation, so the only thing I can hope is obviously the cowards I've mentioned will come and fight me, because yeah, you're fighting a losing battle at this point, because there is nothing that's on your side. As it currently stands, women won't be on your side, a lot of men won't be on your side either. You're just fighting a losing battle, so you just have to be very cowardly to pick on women. Yeah, it's like the bullying mindset, literally. You know, don't give a shit what abuse you might have gone through, even if it is as severe as like childhood sexual abuse. It doesn't justify what happens to women. It's just inexcusable. And if anything, you should have come out of that with empathy, you should have come out of that with sympathy for other victims. But no. Anyway, I better move on because my throat's hurting and I need to do some toss and also drink about a litre or two of water, so I could go out and not need to use the toilet. Yes, that's something I do. Let's move on to the next topic. So excuse me if I sound out of breath, I just had a colossal shit. I also had a realisation, as I tend to do at the same time. I'll just talk about why there isn't any fucking billionaires who are funding good campaigns and charities, and it's a question, it's not really a thing I'm talking about, it's a question rather. Where are they? Because I constantly see that it's always billionaire wealth, and that's always the discussion, but there's never any sort of resolution. There's no, like, oh, there's a billionaire that's actually doing nice things. I've heard about millionaires doing it, but I haven't heard billionaires. But it's so weird that it's never ever tapped in by a billionaire. No good cause is. And that does worry me a lot, because it shows that they're not even helping themselves. If anything, billionaires just put a bigger target on their head with this by refusing to contribute to a better world, a better society. Like, it just shows that they're so tone deaf and have zero fucking clue how the world works. And then obviously we just start to realise that it's a whole clusterfuck. Like, what do I even say? It's genuinely awful. It's just like, I don't know. But seriously, where are the billionaires anyway? It just doesn't make sense. And it shows that even then, like, with however many billionaires there are, or even millionaires that can sort of can be put together here, it's like, it's so unusual that there isn't someone like this who's currently funding, like the Green Party is currently funding charities for women's rights or LGBTQ plus rights. But there's literally nobody. I don't know if it's maybe a UK thing, but even in the US I've barely heard anything. So it just makes me worried. Because I don't understand where this is, where the solution is here. Like, how are people supposed to live when you can't even get someone like on your side who's wealthy, who's even understanding remotely? Like, it's just really frustrating. I don't know where it is. It's so bizarre. And I do really wish that there was something like this, but again, whether that person exists, it's really a mystery. But I get that would also put a target on their head, but they could try to do it anonymously. I can't say anonymous, sorry. I don't understand why they can't do that. It still doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, like, the hell? It's just so bizarre. This is why I tend to fight so hard for rights and for my own rights for that matter, because people like me are not going to stand the test of time when it comes to bigotry and fascism, and these all become massive issues. And stemming from that last topic about abuse, listen to more of the podcast as I do when I'm taking a 10-minute dump, which sadly happens. Sometimes a bit longer if it's blocked, but anyway. Basically the conversation is talking about how crimes aren't treated seriously, and when it becomes a crime committed by someone of that nation, it's no longer an issue. And it really shows the problem here. It shows how ethnicity and racism plays a role into whether someone is persecuted or not for those sort of things. And we, again, need proper funding for this. We need to have anti-corruption laws and actual equality laws to do this, and also we need the right politician for that. The problem is, so many politicians lie, and our only solution has literally become, in the UK, it's become Zach Polanski, of all people, the Green Party leader. And it's literally unheard of that we would ever get a Green politician potentially being an MP, let alone a leader of the country. And if it does happen, there's no doubt good things that can happen with it. Assuming Trump doesn't bomb us for the Prince Andrew comments, but that's another thing. Is it Prince Andrew? No, it's not Prince Andrew, what the fuck? King Charles III, is it? Sorry, I got it wrong, but yeah, it just annoys me, like, what the fuck is going on? It genuinely doesn't make any sense. The world is just completely fucked, and the lack of any sort of funding is proof of this. Yeah, the fact there's no good billionaire, and as far as I know, even companies like, well, the CEOs are like Valve's, Gabe Newell. Like, I've heard good things about him, but I don't know if he does do any sort of like charity work or even donates. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. Like, even with these people who are less controversial, or maybe even not controversial at all, you don't hear a thing about. It's only ever the ones who have a fucking loudmouth that literally get heard and get obviously prioritised in the news, which is also how we hear about them in these smaller spaces. But even then, it just makes no sense that you barely hear a good deed from anyone. You never hear a billionaire donating to a charity stream, you never hear a billionaire donating to whatever. It's absurd. These things really annoy me. Because I was thinking about this last night. I was laying in bed, I was thinking, well, if I had the money, what would I do? And literally the first thing that always comes to my head if I'm earning a stream of money, it'd be to spend it wisely. So obviously I'd have to prioritise getting myself in a proper situation so I can have the space to think and deal with my problems. But I'd also have to give it to people I know so that they can get out their terrible situations. So it could be like actually buying a house for someone, actually having a place for everyone to live that's safe and relatively easy, but give a bit of an allowance. But then I'd have to give the rest of my money not to just my own situation, but it won't be that costly in all honesty, but I'd also have to give it to charity. I'd have to give it all away because I know that much money is dangerous in the hands of someone who hasn't had that much before, because it can be all spent. I did hear a bit of advice a while ago actually. It was a YouTube video of someone who won the lottery and then spent a portion of that money on someone who finances, I believe, or someone to do with money. Basically they did that so that they don't waste the money, which I thought was genius. Although, as much as I would like to do something like that, I think I can trust myself, for the most part, to handle it well. It's not like I'm going to go out there and buy a Lamborghini or like an RTX 5090 or whatever, whatever the most expensive system is. I don't really need it. Even then I could still live with my current computer if it was still running, obviously, if I had that money. But I know that when you have too much money in your hands, you tend to get greedy, and that's why I don't exactly want it. If I woke up one day with like money in my account, no questions asked, well, I won't ask questions because I'd be wondering where it came from. I'd be spending it constantly on other people rather than myself. I want to donate to multiple causes. I look for an awesome charity that helps with housing because this is a big issue close to my heart. Because even though autism is very condemned by society, it needs proper support. So housing and support system would be one of my priorities there. Then it'd be getting to bigger issues like renewable energy and stuff, so getting that on the road, so maybe providing people with sustainable transport and energy. And then it'd be something like, obviously these other rights issues, so women's equality, disability rights, LGBTQ+, everything. I'll try to do it all at once. And then I'd also fund a political party, so like Green Party, I'd give fucking millions to, because they do such a good job. And I believe in their mission. That's the only time I've ever said that about any fucking political party in the years I've been alive. To hear on the news, at least I used to hear on the news as a kid about how political parties were failing. I was like, oh, Tony Blair did this, or Boris Johnson did that, or something fucking stupid. But you know, whenever you hear news about Zach Polanski, it's like, okay, there's something really good here because you can't find any bad news. And if there were bad news, then we'd hear more about it. We'd actually be talking about it, and I would. But yeah, also I think there's a lot of potential in having that much money and being able to put it into something else, something that's good for the world, for the planet. Yeah, I'd also have to go to some proper mental health charities because I don't believe all of them do the jobs they do. But something that actually addresses the problem at a core or a source and deals with it that way. You know, not one of these fake charities that fucking calls you and tells you, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not one of them. They can fucking die. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say really. Yeah, it's just frustrating. There's no billionaires that actually want to help the majority that's in poverty. There's no other way of putting it. Like, we are literally in a situation of poverty at the moment. And people will like mistake things. Like, I see like, oh, I have all this stuff around me, I must be rich, but no, it's actually a struggle to pay for the things I've got as it is. And that's also by being careful with what I buy. Because believe it or not, being careful means buying a fucking £1,300 chair, which admittedly isn't the best thing either, but it does the job. And that's unfortunately the reality. That's the only way I'm going to get the things that I need. So I am living in poverty, not just as a result of that, but also prices going up and food being like insecure and stuff. Like, it's such a struggle. Like, the food problem isn't catching up with me yet, but I imagine it will. I don't eat tons yet, still. So I find it hard to eat sometimes. So I just feel shitty whenever it's like other people are struggling with food. Sometimes I don't really create food waste, and even then, I don't really chuck away food even when it's gone off. It's quite rare, to be honest. Yeah, other way, I think, pretty much touched on everything I can. Hopefully we might see a day where funding will happen like that, where we get proper billionaire funding, whatever it is, and see a world that's brighter and more sustainable, and obviously just better for everyone. It has to be. So yeah, I'm sick and tired of constantly being fucked over by a top 1%, which are killing us, which are trying to make us go into slavery, which I've theorised is probably what's going to happen, and why they're doing the things they're doing. So yeah, don't know what else to say, so let's move on. Well, colour me concerned, whatever that colour is. So, today there's some interesting mail addressed to me and my housemate. This got very fucking weird quick because, excuse me, I'll just put my fan on. Really need it, it's too warm. But this got really weird quick. I've managed to turn it down. There we go. And we got a leaflet through the door from Reform. Yes, the world-renowned UK Fix-It Party, as they call themselves. There's my wallpaper and it stopped working on my computer, that's weird. And it's addressed to us. So what does it say? It says, we put UK councils in action, 325 million saved between 2025 and 2026. 3.94% lowest council tax rise of any party. Oh, so it's a rise, is it? Oh, great. That's stupid. 400 million plus identified savings for 2026 and 27, and 45 million council tax savings versus other parties. That's fuck all. What? So it's really stupid already. It's not a good outlook for them, because you're not even saying what these savings are. You're not even saying the pay rise versus others, and also the reason why. So why is there even a pay rise to begin with? That is the question. So that's already a bit confusing and really identifies an issue here. As for the identified savings, what the fuck are you even on about? Well, I'm someone who doesn't understand the lingo, but what the hell even is this? Doesn't make sense. And tax savings, again, I don't know. But that doesn't sound like a big enough number, because it should be in the hundreds of millions. Anyway, below it they have a thing from the Telegraph, March 2026, Reform UK councils deliver the lowest average tax rises. 9 reform-controlled councils save taxpayers $45 million a year off their bills. Yeah, right. And then you've got this below or rather chart listing Reform as the lowest for average council tax rise, Labour as the second, 4.7, Conservatives as 4.9, and Lib Dems as 5.4. And there's a thing at the bottom where I didn't notice. Figures for non-majority controlled Reform UK councils compared to equivalent upper tier councils. The fuck? So it's not even an accurate thing, like, just defeating their own fucking point there. Because it's going to be different versus every other fucking council, and it's going to be based on, well, it's got to be based on rather 5 councils of theirs, rather than the one they probably just nitpicked here. So that's misleading. But on the back you'll find 5 pledges to fix broken Britain. The first one, cut your bills. We will cut wasteful government spending and leave more money in your pocket. We will end VAT and domestic heating to save £200 on your energy bill. We will cut fuel duty to support drivers and small businesses. What the fuck? Like, how? Figures you're not even explaining how you're going to cut the bills, so there's no reason to believe it. It's not a pledge, because it's not even fucking explaining it. So yeah, I don't understand like VAT stuff, because again I'm in a vulnerable position, which just goes without saying. I was special educational needs in school, and to this day I still struggle to learn things, and yeah, if I could learn these things I probably would, as long as it's quick, but this point is not really easy enough. So yeah, I don't know what to think about this, because it again seems misleading given this is only part of the story, and this is the thing I was going to mention. This is only one part of 100 other things they're doing. Meaning, even if they do cut your bills, they are going to do something else to get you to pay. So what they might do is as I said actually, like Nigel said himself, he was going to privatise the NHS. So your bills are not being cut, they are being absolutely fucking hammered with more. So no, there's no such thing as cutting your bills here. So that point's already been refuted. And there's also welfare cuts again, and that won't even help your bills either. So there's no such thing. Anyway, they got a second point, which for some reason is second rather than first. Secure our borders and deport illegal immigrants. We will stop the boats, defend Britain's borders, stop asylum seekers being housed in hotels, and quit European courts. We will pass emergency laws and deport all the illegal immigrants. The first problem here is you're quitting courts when you're trying to deport them? Or what? You're supposed to go for a court fucking proceeding to deport them to begin with. I'm pretty sure of that. So, they've already failed to do the basic thing here. It's like they've literally dropped the logic out the window. Like, it's so fucking bad. What the hell am I even reading? And what boats? Because the evidence that I've seen shows that there aren't really many boats going around. I think, according to like other sources where they actually did numbers on this, they actually recorded it, you only get around about 1,000 boats or something from like the time this all started to the time it all ended. And if you tally up the total, it comes up to tens of thousands, but that's only because people do that. Well, they've done that for years. So you're not stopping anything. They're still going to come your way. So it's not fucking happening. And how are you going to secure your borders without even a solution? They haven't even proposed one. So no, that's not happening. Even if I was on this side, I don't see this even happening. As for solutions, securing your borders would be costly. You need to set up stations around the UK coastlines and be able to intercept any boats that come by, to either send them back or take them into land and arrest them. But that's not going to do anything, because you need to do something with them. Deport them will cost money. housing them will probably cost less money. So it's just fucking nonsense. It takes a ridiculous amount of money, I think, to actually deport them. So that's not working. Stop asylum seekers being housed in hotels. This is already misinformation. It's being debunked already. They're not being housed in hotels. They're being housed in former hotels. So they weren't even hotels to begin with. It's not like we're looking at a popular London hotel and saying, yeah, that's going to be an asylum. That's not how it fucking works. In fact, I think I saw a statistic somewhere about this because I was looking into asylum seeking just to see what it was about, to inform myself, and it said that the conditions that asylum seekers get are not the same as being in a luxury hotel, let alone a hotel. So they're not even getting the same treatment. It just doesn't fucking exist. And so this idea that it's a hotel is because for some reason people glamorize it in their own heads, so it's like a delusion. And basically all that asylum seekers being in a hotel means is that it's a hotel that's been previously sold or abandoned and not used for anything else. And even then, the structure of the hotel is completely irrelevant to what's on the inside. Because if you look on the inside of asylum hotels, like, what if I look this up? Like, asylum, what's it going to come up with? Asylum, what is it in caps lock? Asylum hotels, UK, on bedroom. Because like, this is going to be the average person on the boat. Asylum accommodation in the UK, Migration Observatory. So let's see what this says. Well, whether or not what it says, but what it shows. So, you've got some interesting statistics here and there, figures and stuff. I'm wondering what the accommodation is, if there is any here. Projects, publications, about. And, but to be honest, I probably have to keep some of it secretive anyway because of just people misusing it. Well, the image of this asylum here, it's not even a fancy fucking place, it looks like an old pub. So I don't know what people are on about with this being like glamorous and also them being paid a ton, because that's obviously not true. They get cheap phones, they get burner or refurbished phones, it depends really. And yeah, it's very different. And looking at the images, like ironically, all the fucking images are just absolute red herrings. Like, my Shrewsbury, this isn't even an asylum, is it? Or I guess it's like people offering to take them in, so it really depends, like that's the thing. Because even something like this, where it is luxurious, it very much does mean that they can take them in if they want to, but that's a choice that they make, not you. Like, it's so fucking stupid. And even then, hotels probably don't get many people now, because nobody can afford anything, nobody can travel. So what are you fucking on about? It makes no sense. And then there's here, like, apparently Wethersfield, across to the Daily Mail, there's an RAF base used to house 1,700 asylum seekers, so they're not even going to hotels. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, it didn't even take that much research, and people were just fucking believing this. And if anything, they're probably more likely to go in flats anyway. So, it's just really bad. It's just terrible. There's a map of the migrant hotel map. Like, what? Victoria Mansions, Riverside Views, or Hotel. What the fuck do you mean? Also, it's just really creepy anyway, because this is the other thing. Asylum seeker means asylum seeking. Look up the fucking word. Like, what does asylum mean? So, asylum, protection and immunity from extradition granted by government to a political refugee from another country. So yeah, we're housing people. And the other definition, a place offering protection and safety, a shelter or shelter. And then protection or shelter or refugee. Or refuge, or refugee. So yeah, so obviously the people in this situation are not doing it to get money, they're doing it to escape another fucking hellhole. So what's pushing them, what are you going to do? Other than tell them that the UK is evil. And then suddenly in like 10, 20 years time, when they go back to their own country and overthrow the government, they're going to target us. So like, what the fuck do you expect? We're going to be the result of the hate crime, as though we all thought. And we can't do anything about that. Unless obviously you change your behaviour. Anyway, emergency laws to deport all immigrants. So this basically is ICE. And if we know anything about ICE, they do not treat anyone well. And when the average person gets power in their hands, like a gun or bulletproof vest, or even a system where they can choose to go into migrant hotels and rape someone, that's going to cause devastating impact, not only to crime, but any sort of crime that you can even think of, like moral crime, even like, it probably even affects something like environment as well. But it affects human rights, so that's already another big problem there. But I've already talked about this so much. Again, it's all such bullshit, and the biggest issue we have is not migrants. They haven't even described what the problem is. Like, how are illegal immigrants the problem? That is the question. I heard someone Spanish walk past me earlier today, but what the fuck do I care? They're not bothering me. They're not doing anything to someone. So it doesn't matter. I don't care what they're speaking about, even if they're bloody mocking me. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not my business either. And they're probably working as well, so like, just think for a second, you dumbasses. Anyway, the third point in this thing is restore law and order. We will deploy more police and increase stop and search to make our streets safer. We will ensure tougher sentences for violent criminals and repeat offenders. Doubt. So, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but it's also sort of proposing that we have another ICE, essentially. So, America has ICE. We'll have the UK version. And it's going to be devastating, because now everyone's going to run free with crime. But also this unrealistic expectation that there'll be stop and search is just frankly absurd. Like, you're seriously going to stop and search every fucking person to see what? Whether they're migrant, whether they're trans, whether they're, gay. Like, it's really fucking bad, and they're going to stop every black person they see. So this only incentivizes crimes against race, because that's all it's going to do. We already have a problem with our police, so doing this is not going to do anything. There's nothing about reforming the police system either. So they're not even addressing the problem, it's just a scapegoat, not like the last point. All of this is basically a mask to fund billionaires. That's all it's going to be. But the next thing is end council waste. We will cancel all bad council contracts to deliver value for residents, protect households from large council tax rises, and put your money where it belongs, into local services like roads, bins, and community safety. They're sort of half good and half bad. Like, really enough, it's like the first point. So, I don't know what they mean council waste. It's not a good term to put there, because you make people think that's about, obviously, trash, but it's not. There's only a bit about bins here. So, protect from council tax rises, doubt, because it's probably going to only affect select households, so I don't know what this even means, like who's affected by this, because they're not saying everyone. They said all bad council contracts, so I don't know. To deliver value for residents, so not for, it's just, I guess, for a few. And the next thing, which I sort of agree with, putting money into services like roads, which we do need, as long as they're not building new ones, or at least build new ones that are useful, it could be beneficial if they do that. But also if they put in, like, because I've heard about this before, I think potholes, is it? Yeah, I think potholes, and maybe sewage as well is one I've heard about as well. But they need to improve that system, so I think that is a good thing. And obviously, the bin problem, I don't know what they're on about. They haven't described it here. I don't have a bin problem where I am, so I don't know what it could be. Like, maybe not collecting bins, but even then, that's to do with fucking unions, ain't it? So again, it's like scapegoating a problem. I'm pretty sure the only reason people don't come around for the bins is because they are on strike. Because they don't agree with policies or even wages. So there's no surprise there. And then community safety is the most concerning part of this, because I don't think it is a real thing. Community safety depends on, I'll say, the law and order, but whether they do that or not is another thing. Because they're the only ones who could probably remove you from a house and do something. But even then, that's a scarier aspect, because it means everyone's at risk of this, even someone like me who's more vulnerable, and they'll choose this place to pick on, essentially. So they'll say, because I'm disabled for some reason, I'm now a problem. I'm now not safe for the community, and then they remove me, and that's like, yeah, so she's just World War II again. So they're becoming Nazis, which is great. But whenever I see community safety, especially from this party, it's not ringing true for me. I don't believe it's going to happen, because they're not demonstrating what the problem is and where the safety is. So no, this is not true. Again, the only thing being roads, which I can agree on, but no, nothing else. But the fifth point and the final one: put British people first. We will protect the state pension triple locks to support British pensioners. We'll end benefit handouts to foreign nationals. What? Hang on, what? We'll end benefit handouts to foreign nationals. I was about to say, I was like, you're going to fund them? I thought you were against it, but yeah, they are. End it though, but we will side with British workers, small businesses and farmers. We will stand up for your family, your community and our country. Doubt, again, because anything that's been said in the manifesto is probably going to refute this, so this doesn't age well. But what the fuck do they even mean? I don't know what the end benefit handouts for foreign nationals is. I guess like NATO or the UN, but that's probably it. But the pensioner thing is a bit stupid, because there is a problem with it, but I've heard about it anyway. As far as I know, it's not, people are not paid enough, so that's kind of a problem. Sort of agree, sort of disagree. But I do agree with putting British people first. I think that's a good point. That's the only point I've ever really agreed on with the migrant things, and that's the one point I've seen the Green Party address as well. And they address it better, by the way. Just absolute score a goal there. I recommend you look at it when you get a chance. I think it's a Bold Politics podcast they brought it up on. Was it? It might have been Hannah Spencer, actually. She brought it up. But I think she agreed that putting British people first was definitely the way to go. And that's because obviously we need funding to make ourselves better workers and better whatevers. Like, it really benefits us. So, the next thing to address, we side with British workers, small businesses and farmers. No, you don't. That's just another lie, because if you look at the Reform Party and its funding, they are being funded by billionaires, and billionaires are obviously seeking payment for this. I saw a graph somewhere, I can't remember where it was. It showed that Reform, I think, was one of the most paid parties in terms of membership because of billionaire donators. And they have the most billionaire donors that there are, even more than Labour, which is pretty insane. So it shows you where their priorities are, because they're obviously doing something here to deceive people. This is exactly the same as Margaret, essentially. And again, they're not even demonstrating the point. So there's no, essentially, mega. We're not making England great again. Just making it worse, from what I understand. So yeah, what's next? Small businesses? No, they won't. Farmers? No, they won't. The problem with farming at the moment is also the environmental impact and ethical problems that are around it. But with farming, it's like you do need to put the climate first, because we're not going to be able to sustain farming here when the temperature's going up. So you haven't even put this in your entire fucking manifesto, or even these 5 points here about climate. So you're not actually supporting farmers. You've ignored the point that would actually keep them there. So, yeah, that's a bit stupid. And small businesses, I don't think they will. Seems very unlikely. I haven't really seen reform MPs talking to anyone, especially small businesses. So it's another bit of nonsense. We will stand up for your family, your community, and our country. No. Because my family, we're, I guess, working class, I don't know what to call it. It's a bit weird, actually, it's a bit complicated. But, you know, if you value family values, then why are you not giving us funding? Why are you not helping the working class? Like, you're not even saying that. You say side with British workers, but you're not siding with them is only half the action here. Because the wording here is very specific. They're not actually going to support you. Well, they say side, but they don't mean that. Yeah, essentially, it's just another fucking buzzword, I think. So yeah, that's not good. Community, I doubt we'll see any improvements there, because you're looking to tear people apart. So when you're dragging the excellent Indian chef out of his Indian restaurant because he's an illegal immigrant, like, how is that helping your community? Like, if anything, you've stopped people from being able to order great food, and you're fucking over people's families, and now they can't do anything. They can't enjoy themselves. They can't find those values anymore. And the country, nope, you scrapped that since getting us into Brexit. So no, there's nothing about our country there. Then they say, like, on the original letter, which is like, dear, our names, for some reason they have us on there. I don't know how the fuck this is even possible. Say a personal message from Nigel, which I don't think is true. And they put things in bold about making the country, changing the direction of the country. If you want to get rid of Keir Starmer and change the direction of this country, there is only one way to do it: support reform. What? That's fucking false. But also, it's like the fact they don't even put the other statistics on there. They've actually left out Greens, of all things, on here. So they are hiding something, and it's very much obvious here. Reform UK is now the last real hope for this country. No, it's not. It's the Greens now. Like, obviously, you're not in the loop. It's fucking stupid. But yeah, like, it's just a load of fucking bullshit, really. I just find it really stupid, and yeah, like most politics, it just seems to be lies and deception. And this is obviously like deception. This is like one of the first things that they do, because obviously you need deception to lie. So they're trying to make you think that they're actually with you when they're not, and they're not even demonstrating the point. So they're even doing this very lazily. It's actually extremely sloppy. It's fucking nuts. And anyone who believes this, I think they're going to get a taste of their own medicine, because they're actually seeking to destroy us. The Reform Party are, anyway. Even though the Green Party, I definitely think people have issues with them, and certainly points I can find in various things. Like, it's hard to say, but you know, they're the only option. They're the only ones talking about this shit. It's just, it's so bad that they are the only ones addressing all the problems that we have, rather than these fucking jokers called Reform, who aren't even doing that. They're not even doing the bare minimum. And anyone who disagrees with Greens has to be a complete fucking moron, because the only way you're going to get anything in this country that's done right is with someone who speaks the truth. Reform Party? What truths have they said? Only the ones I mentioned. The roads, putting Britain first, but they aren't even addressing that properly. So there is no way we can do that. Without a proper council tax, I don't think they can even build the new roads or even fix the existing ones. So I just don't get it. It's just fucking stupid. Yeah, like, I can't believe this, really. Anyway, I'm a bit tired, but yeah, that's it's just so bad. Um, yeah. So anyway, I'll move on because I'm fed up with this topic again. Reform voters will eat their own medicine and like it, whether or not they like it or not. So yeah, let's move on. So another thing I could add to this, I suppose, other people have got it as well. Not the same thing exactly, but similar. But as someone else pointed out, it's also deception because it's also putting Nigel Farage on the front of it. I don't know why they did that, but it's like he's not even running for my fucking council. So what is even going on? It's so weird. But it's like such deception that they're making you think that you're voting for Nigel himself, but it's not. And even then, I got my posting ballot. I voted. I posted it, and yeah, like Nigel's just up here on there. There's someone else I've never fucking heard of, and I just don't even see the point. Like, of course I'm voting for Green, but that's because they make the most good points, and Reform are too afraid to address Green, so they didn't even include any statistics. So it's like they're so scared of the Greens that they don't even want to mention them, want to act like they don't exist, which is really funny, because that shows that the Greens are actually more right. They're actually correct in everything they're doing. So, like, the only other thing I could add is that as someone who was a special needs child, I had support pretty much all the time. I mean, it's more to do with like ADHD, and I was considered intelligent, but not enough that I couldn't do things without a little help, essentially. But yeah, like I grew up as a special needs child, and obviously as an adult I can't work because basically all the mental health problems that I've developed over the years have become such problems that I can't work, and I rely on welfare, which Reform looks to cut. Like, what the fuck? The fact that I can even be in this position and even see that through the lies here is frankly absurd. I just do not understand what the point is of this and why Reform seem to think that they can get my vote, of all things, from this. Like, what? Like, you're not getting my fucking vote, you absolute morons. Because my vote is going to be specifically for benefiting my health and the country. So, those two are pretty important. I'm currently struggling with my health. I can't afford it. And with the, oh fuck, I think, country, I need to fucking close my blinds quick. I'm distracted by the door randomly opening. Sorry. Yeah, I need to put them first because without it, I'm just gonna struggle. I don't see a world where, without the correct rights in place, and this is the thing with Greens, you may not agree with a lot of the things they do or say, but they are overall the best ones for the points that Reform brought up. They will cut your bills. They will address the borders and immigrants problem. They will even address law and order. They will address. What's the fourth point? I can't remember what it is now. Which I could look in my fourth point. Council waste. They will address that, and they will put British people first. So essentially, for all the points that they make here, the Greens are doing things much better. So it just goes to show that through everything that's happened in the last year, from everything I know about Reform and the Greens as well, and other parties where they've appeared, the Greens are the only party doing something about this. So it is just really deceiving when you see this crap with, well, this really Reform just doing this fucking bullshit, doing absolute deception and lies, and no doubt scapegoating things. So they blame asylum hotels for the problems, but when you look into asylum hotels, it's not because they're fucking hotels. Asylum hotels inherently means they get asylum in a hotel. They're not entitled to the service, they're just entitled to asylum. And that's in the writing. So I don't know where the fuck this is even coming from. It's obviously a lie. And all this outrage, ironically, it only causes more outrage, because whenever you look into crimes, especially against like women and children, the only ones who get in the news are people of colour or immigrants. Not British people. Oh no. And even this recent stabbing, I think, with 2 Jewish people, I think. I only looked into it briefly, but there's no mention of the ethnicity from what I could tell. Well, I missed it, but even then it would have been like frontline of title news rather. But yeah, frankly, it's really fucking dangerous, the world that Reform wants to keep. Yeah, because the crime has to be. I don't know how to word this really, because we actually don't know what the crime is about. Let's say it's anti-Semitism. It needs to be against, obviously, the religion of. Is it Judaism? I'll say Judaism, because I can't remember what it is for Jewish people. If it's a crime against that, then it's about, obviously, what they believe. So, I think it's about believing that, something about Jesus, was it? I can't remember, my mind is going blank. I remember learning about this a few months ago. But, it's specifically related to that rather than just the fact that people can be arseholes or just accidentally, rather unfortunately, put into these situations. But anyway, I think I pretty much said everything, but the fact Reform is getting owned by me, a former special educational needs child, is pretty embarrassing. Obviously, I think that's the biggest embarrassment you could have ever had. And I consider myself quite dumb. So, it's even worse given that. Anyway, I better move on, because I've got things to do. More important things. Like making people's lives better. So yeah.